AD 2670. Nearly 6 centuries have passed since humanity's first venture into outer space. Newly discovered planets in the cosmos have been inhabited and flourished filled with infinite possibilities. Under the guidance of the Pan-Galactic Federation, the future of mankind shines brightly, moving ever forward. On a job order to deliver cargo, the ship of transport captain Raymond Lawrence is mysteriously attacked and forced to evacuate on the planet Aster 4. Upon the descent of Raymond's escape pod, he is rescued by Princess Leticia Osarius, who requests his assistance to save her kingdom from turmoil. With their fates intertwined, they embark on a journey that leads them all across Aster 4 and subsequently explore new worlds beyond the stars. Welcome to Star Ocean, the Divine Force. Greetings, Gray here. After the disaster of the previous game, I honestly believed that Square Enix would leave behind Star Ocean in favor of more profitable IPs, such as Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. To my surprise, we have received another entry in the Star Ocean saga. As a huge fan of the series, I could not be happier of the franchise's revival. Does it hold up with the previous entries? Or is this yet another blunder, similarly to the 5th game? For better context of this video, here are some key points that I need to disclose. First of all, I bought this game at full price of $60 for the PlayStation 5. Secondly, as I mentioned that I am a fan of the Star Ocean games, know that I have finished every mainline entry of the games, saved Integrity and Faithlessness, as I could not muster the motivation to finish the game due to its poor execution. Thirdly, do take note that I have finished both Raymond and Leticia's story paths, so I will be showing cutscenes from both of those sides. Last but not least, I have obtained half the trophies and defeated the final post-game boss, so I do believe I have played enough of the game to critique it fairly. Without further ado, let us begin. Do take note that this video will cover the entire story, so as usual, do take note that this video is full of spoilers. Again, this is a spoiler warning. Spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The game begins with choosing between one of two protagonists, where the story narration will depend on who is chosen, as well as exclusive content depending on whether you pick Raymond or Leticia. This is rather refreshing, as the only other game that implemented this mechanic is Star Ocean 2, where more than one playthrough is encouraged. In my first playthrough, I opted to choose Raymond playing on the Galaxy or normal difficulty. And with this, the story begins.
This ocean of stars, who first gazed up at it, dreamt that it held the key to humanity's future. How vast the universe must have seemed to them, unending and eternal, filled with infinite possibility. But if only those dreamers knew what I know now, that humankind harbors a voracious hunger, one not even the limitless cosmos can sate.
It was just another day of delivery for Raymond Lawrence and his crew, as they were in the final stretch of delivering their assigned cargo towards their destination with no setbacks whatsoever. The crew was eager to finish the job and head back home and unwind. However, not long after, they suddenly encounter a Pan-Galactic Federation ship, the Astoria, that shoots them on sight. Despite their repeated attempts to communicate and broker peace, their efforts fell into deaf ears, as the Astoria continued to fire upon Raymond's ship, the Aegis, leaving the crew with no choice but to retreat. While in the midst of preparing to retreat, Raymond attempts to be able to salvage what remains of their cargo prior to heading to his escape pod. However, Elena, Raymond's first mate, informs him that there is little time remaining. Raymond then tells Elena to do what must be done. Elena obeys his orders based on her own interpretation.
Now help!
Yes, Captain.
No! Hey! Stop! What do you think you're doing? Elena! Elena!
The crew of the Aegis needs you. Good luck, Ray. And goodbye.
No!
Raymond's escape pod lands in the nearest planet, Aster 4. As he observes his surroundings, Raymond is ambushed by a monster and is rescued by two strangers who offers him the means to fight back.
Whoa!
You there! Take this!
cards!
No idea what's going on, but not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth.
Alright, let's rumble!
It was at this moment that the game introduces the combat system. I must say, it was a delight to my ears the first time I heard the battle soundtrack. It is the kind of fast-paced sci-fi tuned music that fans will immediately recognize that this is indeed a Star Ocean game. The same can be said with the combat, where the franchise is notorious for its adrenaline-raising speed. In this first battle, the game teaches the basics, which are the attack buttons, which are square, triangle, and circle, all while managing your action points, or AP, which can be located in the middle of the screen through the form of squares. Each attack requires AP depending on the attack used and mapped in the attack buttons, which I will elaborate later. As a fan of the previous entries, one of the pitfalls I was concerned about in this 6th installment was the use of anime writing tropes for the main cast. Fortunately, this concern was laid to rest when I saw the next cutscene. After emerging victorious in the first battle, Raymond and the two strangers further interact with one another to get to know each other. It is quite refreshing that this time around, the people of the underdeveloped planet are not as ignorant and predictable from that of the previous games. As this is the 6th installment of the franchise, the challenge this game posed in the context of storytelling is nuance, as it can easily fall for the trap of using the same writing for its characters. But I am glad to say that this is not the case, and while they do not fall to the usual tropes, the characters react and respond in a natural manner in light of the situation. An excellent job on Tri-Ace's part.
It's me, Antonio. Can you hear me? Ray, come in!
I knew you weren't alone. Show yourself!
Huh? Who in the hell are you? This isn't Raymond Lawrence!
Step into the light!
Hey, asshole. Harm a single hair on my brother, and your planet's scorched earth, you hear me? Raymond, where are you?
As the two parties get more acquainted with each other and the situation, the tension begins to ease. While Raymond waits for his brother Antonio's arrival, they witness another escape pod landing into the planet, prompting Raymond to set out and investigate, as it may be one of his crew member Chloe on board. The two strangers then offer their assistance and introduce one another.
You may call me Leticia, and this gentleman here is Albert. Stand down, Albert. We are here to help him. Is that clear? Shall we then, Raymond?
Wait. No more full name stuff. Just Ray is good.
All right. Ray?
Awesome. Okay, let's move.
As we set out to rescue Chloe in the Medum ruins, which is the determined location of her escape pod, almost immediately after leaving the area, we encounter more monsters and are introduced to more fundamental combat mechanics. We are first introduced to the dodge attack mechanic by pressing the L1 button. This will allow you to remain invulnerable while avoiding an enemy attack. While it does not consume AP, it is worth noting that you are unable to recover AP if you continuously use it, as to prevent abuse and encourage proper evade timing. Also explained, since we now have Leticia and Albert, is the switching of the player character, or in other words, the character that the player is using by simply pressing up or down in the D-pad. Taking down familiar monsters from the previous games remains very satisfying, and not long after, the game world begins to open up. There's still the usual picking up of chests, while also now being able to pick up loot in the environment by simply sprinting past or landing on the green essence-like material. Some debris are also now breakable for additional loot, making exploring a highly rewarding endeavor. As we continue to mow down more monsters, picking up more loot, and increasing combat prowess, we finally make it to the escape pod. The contents of the pod, however, were not what was expected.
Please, please, please be okay. Gotta be kidding me.
Ray!
Duma production model 004213 activating. Confirmed. Life forms in need of protection.
Whoa, hey, what the heck's this supposed to be?
Warning. Warning. Hostile entities identified. Engaging defensive mode.
Highness, are you all right?
I believe so. But what is this?
Later. Right now, we've got company.
Inside the escape pod is a mysterious advanced orb-like device called Duma. It has the ability to assist in combat to aid Raymond and the team in battling the incoming ambush. The most prominent feature of this Star Ocean game is now introduced. In order to utilize Duma, players must pay attention to the Vanguard Assault Gauge, or VA gauge in short. Duma has multiple functions in combat, such as the Vanguard Assault, where Duma will carry the player character quickly around the battlefield in the direction that the player chooses, using the directional pad and pressing the R1 button. Pressing R1 towards an opponent will result in a VA rush, which is a quick attack towards the targeted opponent. On top of this, a prominent feature of Star Ocean 4, namely the blind side, has made its return. In here, however, it is significantly easier to pull off, as it is easy for opponents to lose their sight of you when you utilize Duma. Performing a blindside will cause the target opponents to be stunned and have lower defense, making them extremely vulnerable to deal great damage or take them down completely. Do take note that these features of Duma will consume the VA gauge, and to replenish the VA gauge, successful landing of attacks must be done. Also another feature is the barrier, where attacks from opponents are prevented by holding down the R1 button. But honestly, I have not used this feature given the fast pacing of the combat in the game, most probably to my detriment. After taking down some opponents for practicing the utilization of Duma, the first boss fight commences. A giant armored knight robot. The easiest way to take it down is to use Duma to be able to reach the head and deal massive damage. After the defeat of the first boss, the team takes a closer look on Duma, but fails to retrieve information, as it is lukewarm to communication.
So, what's your deal? Oh, so now you decide to give us the silent treatment.
With the team's initial objective completed, Raymond must now continue to search for his other missing crew. Leticia tells Raymond that he could not do so on his own, as he is not familiar with this planet, and provides a proposition. While they search for Raymond's missing companions, he in turn will assist Leticia and Albert in their endeavors.
Are you sure that's smart? Only thing you know about me is my name.
And we ought rectify that at once, for learning more about the other is sure to benefit us both.
Highness?
Albert, should Raymond agree, he will be in our care. Whatever comes of this, I shall bear the consequences. Allow me to properly introduce myself. I am Leticia Asarius, Crown Princess of Asarius. And this is Albert Bergholm, my royal retainer.
Oh, shoot. I thought he was kidding when he called you Highness.
Oh, you think us liars?
Put yourself in my shoes. Doubt you'd be saying anything differently.
Indeed. Not over far from these ruins is the village of Larset. There, we shall find a quiet moment to talk.
One of my primary concerns for the game was that when it showcased the trailer, it somewhat showed an open world mechanic. Given that Star Ocean is known not just for its fast-paced combat, but as well as fast-paced exploration, I was worried that the exploration portion may be significantly slower compared to its predecessors. But thanks to Duma, this is definitely not the case. Duma's capabilities are not just limited in combat, but also in navigating and exploring the field. By also pressing or holding R1 similarly in combat, Duma can take your character far and normally unreachable areas. The quick rush movement of this feature is also very useful to get around quickly from one area to another. The fast pacing of movement encourages exploration and lay my concerns to rest that navigating around the world can be a slog. With Duma now in the party, we now have access to upgrade its features. However, unlike strengthening your characters, the upgrade of Duma comes in the form of retrieving pink crystals called Duma points all across the game world, whether it is towns, open fields, caverns, or other dungeons. By pressing and holding the L2 button during exploration, Duma can scan for nearby chests to pick up, a major boon in trying to find all of them in the game. In the menu, Duma's various upgrade options can be found, whether it is to reduce the probability of detection or increase the scanning range. There are many perks to choose from, further incentivizing the player to hunt down Duma points throughout the world. Prior to engaging enemies in combat, You can use Duma to rush and flank opponents. This will result in the opponent to be blindsided, giving you an excellent head start. By attacking blindsided opponents, you will be incentivized with an increase of AP up to a maximum of 15. Do note, however, if the opponent successfully lands a staggering blow on you, you will lose that added AP depending on how many staggered blows you receive, potentially dropping all the way back to 5 AP. This combat mechanic encourages players to fight effectively to have a greater advantage in battle. To add further in this clip, during combat, your active character will have a white circle around them. Inside the circle are white or red dots, indicating whether an opponent detects the character you are using or not. White indicates that your character is not spotted, while the red dot indicates that they do. Honestly though, given the fast-paced nature of combat, I can hardly remember when I took advantage of this feature. Before heading for Larset Village, the team decides first to stop by at Raymond's escape pod to catch up with Antonio. Raymond informs him that they did not find Chloe, and was instead one of the pods ejected by Elena. While Antonio hesitantly suggests the fate of Elena, Raymond refuses to believe so, and assumes that the entire crew of the Edis are still alive. Antonio accepts Raymond's stance, and subsequently apologizes to Leticia and Albert for their initial conversation, as he was very agitated given Raymond's delicate position and situation prior. Antonio asks the two to watch over Raymond while he is still away. A minor cutscene worth mentioning, as again, it does not fall on tropes where characters are often still lashing out and untrusting of each other this early in the story.
You are loved.
I wish, but nah, he just can't help treating me like a kid. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to sleep in a bed. Let's get going.
Agreed. Let us depart.
After some time, the team arrives at Larset Village. Prior to even beginning to explore the area, the game immediately addresses that it should not look out of the ordinary for Duma to be used, as Duma appears to look similar to an orb of a semiomancer, which is the planet's term for a mage. Tri-Ace did not have to put a story behind this, but I appreciate the attention to detail nonetheless. Also, to my surprise during the demo, although you cannot talk to all the NPCs, the ones that do are all voiced. It would have been fine for me had only NPCs critical to the main story have them, as this was the staple of the previous installments. But to my amazement, literally every NPC you can chat with had a voice. Another step up for the franchise.
Cha-chan! Where were you? Huh? There's something attached to his collar. A piece of paper?
Glad to be of assistance.
Apart from exploring the town for loot, completing quests, and shopping items and equipment, a household feature returns: the private actions with party members. All throughout the game, you may be able to view cutscenes with the members of your team. This is what we call private actions, some of which will have branching dialogue, and depending on your responses and frequency of finding these cutscenes within towns, your ending will be determined based on this gameplay feature.
Well, if you insist on it then.
Atta girl. We don't need more than one negative Nelly around, and Albert's got us covered there.
I am the reason he remains so troubled. Please try not to think ill of him.
No, I know. I guess he's been through a lot, right? All those worries would turn anyone's smile upside down.
Do you feel no need to inquire, to fill in said details?
As much as I am pleased with the return of private actions, I do wish that Tri-Ace streamlined the feature, rather than trying to figure out where and when do they appear. I wish that they somehow implemented it in the user interface instead. Not to mention, a relationship progress meter for each party member would have helped immensely, for players to be able to achieve the ending they desired. While I understand that implementing the current system will make achieving the ending all the more fulfilling, in modern standards, I believe that it should be revised, as I had to randomly run around all the towns I previously visited, just so that I could find more private actions. On top of this, it can be a little frustrating to not have a good idea on which party member you are closest with. But on the upside, there are plenty of private actions scattered all throughout, and all of them are voiced, making them all the more immersive. The team then goes to the inn to rest for the day, before continuing on their journey. In their room, Raymond explains to Leticia and Albert that his vessel came from outer space and landed on their planet, while Leticia reveals that they are in search of a former sage in the kingdom named Midas Felgreed, as they require his assistance. In an era where gaming is becoming more streamlined, it is such a breath of fresh air to find out that the combat progression in this game is by far the most customizable and sophisticated in the series. Before leaving Larset, I took the opportunity to take a deeper look at my team's combat progress. I was surprised on how much customization the game offers with regards to growing your characters. Apart from leveling up and increasing your stats like most JRPGs, for every level up a character receives, they also obtain a resource called skill points, or SP in short. SP can be used in various attributes such as further increasing stats such as health points or strength. SP is also used to obtain new movesets for each character. Speaking of movesets, if I am not mistaken, this is the first game in the series where you can literally customize every attack each character does. Whether it is pressing square, triangle, or circle 3 consecutive times to build a devastating combo, or holding the said buttons to immediately unleash a powerful move or spell, it is entirely up to you. SP is also used to upgrade the damage output of a character's moves or spells. How to utilize SP is completely left for the player to decide. In my opinion, this should be the new standard for sequels moving forward. Before heading to the next destination, I decided to try out some quests in Larset. These are optional missions that reward players with items and money should they choose to accomplish them. A treat for completionists, certainly, but sometimes the quest description can be vague in its clues, such as an early quest provided in Larset, where you are tasked to take down some monsters. After spending several minutes and failing to track down the said monsters, I eventually found out that as per the context of the quest giver, apparently, I needed to eat some particular dish at the inn for the monster to appear. I believe that extra layer could have been better implemented, or even just omitted entirely. It may have been Tri-Ace's method to encourage players to eat food on top of resting in the inns, as eating food provides perks such as stat boosters for a few battles. In my playthrough, however, I found eating food in the inn to be too costly, especially late in the game. To get to the mining town of Delric, which is the next destination, we must first pass through the mountainous and barren Delver region. In here, we find more enemies not unfamiliar to fans of the series. It is also filled with hidden chests for the taking, and Duma points to reach out to. It is quite impressive how diverse the different landscapes have been so far, given how early it is as well as the size of the game. After traveling through the Delver region for most of the day, we finally make it to the mining town of Delric. Given its background, Delric is much larger from that of Larset, and very beautifully lit at night that greatly highlights the fantastic art design of the game. It is truly a shame that this will be the only instance where the town can be viewed in the evening. As the party was headed to the inn for some rest, they encounter a cheery girl on a rush to her next stop. She bumps into Albert and looks at him oddly as if something is amiss. She tells the team to stop by infirmary, as the Iatromancer, or the planet's term for healer, is very talented as she takes off.
If you're feeling under the weather, don't hesitate to drop by the infirmary. The Iatromancer there is one of the best in the business, so you'll be in good hands. Alright, gotta run.
That was strange.
The next day, after inquiring around town, we arrive at the infirmary of the Iatromancer, who might know the location of Midas, only to once again encounter the girl the night before.
Not who we have come to see. We have traveled quite the distance to employ the services of one Marcus Eason.
Oh, you're here for the doctor. Sorry. My name's Nina. I'm an apprentice Iatromancer, and by extension, Dr. Eason's assistant.
A pleasure.
So then, I assume he's the one who needs to see a doctor.
As I have said, I am fine.
I'm sure you've come a long way, but the doctor can't see you. The thing is, he's not even in right now. He left for the mines to collect some samples for his research. By the sound of it, he probably won't be back anytime soon.
Dr. Eason!
What's the matter?
Ah, Nina! Fiends have appeared from the mines to the east. There are many wounded. We need you. Now!
And off we go to rescue some townsfolk. The monsters are blue worms that were not difficult to take down. It is implied, however, that these monsters were never present in the mines until now. The team decides to investigate further and to check on Dr. Eason while Nina tends to the injured. As I ventured into the mines, I encountered more of the blue worms, along with other monsters. At the end of it is nothing unexpected.
I don't understand. This nest has had time to develop and no monsters have attacked? How is that possible?
I'd say ask that thing, but looks like it ain't in the mood.
Indeed.
Up until this point, I managed to get away without being too strategic in my party placement and timing of attacks. And boy was I wrong, and I learned it the hard way. It is now time for another boss fight. And let's just say my first attempt did not exactly yield great results. Are you kidding me? What? Wow. Dang. With some strategic maneuvering, I managed to defeat the giant worm and rescue Marcus.
Were that monstrosity their mother, these eggs would spell the town's doom upon hatching.
Should probably get rid of them ASAP. Might want to tell the townspeople too afterwards. Huh?
There he is.
Dr. Eason!
Oh, there you are, buddy. Good thing we got to you before the hatchlings could.
After we return Marcus to the infirmary, Nina thanks the team, and they formally exchange introductions. Nina tells them to rest for the day, and she will inform them once the doctor has regained consciousness and is in good health. The team returns to the inn and heads back to the infirmary the following day, only for their good deed to not be rewarded.
What business do you have with him, if I may ask?
I wish him to accompany me to the capital. A threat looms over the kingdom, and without his assistance, we shall succumb to it.
My lady, I assume you are privy to the true cause of his resignation?
I believe the royal family and its advisors took umbrage with his methods.
Then you understand why I cannot in good conscience reveal his whereabouts. Nothing can change that.
As the party leaves the infirmary, Raymond asks Leticia and Albert what transpired prior, as clearly there are past events that went down based on the conversation with Marcus. Nina gives chase, reveals her identity, and makes a request.
I do.
Then you might be interested in this. My full name is Nina DeForge.
DeForge? Would you happen to mean the same DeForge as...
I do. My father, who served alongside Midas and Dr. Eason as one of the three wise men, is none other than... Filberto DeForge. So, what do you say? Can someone like little ol' me join you?
What transpires next is what I believe to be my most favorite method of the game's storytelling. It's such a great shame that there is so little of it in the game's entirety. As the party arrives at Nina's home, Leticia observes that she is researching how to cure Helgar's disease, a plague that has spread throughout the planet for some time. Nina reveals that her father, Filberto DeForge, who was once one of the Kingdom Wise Men along with Marcus, has passed away. She also reveals that she, Leticia, and Albert have already met long before. The method on which Tri-Ace executed this flashback is a big thumbs up for me, as the artwork is beautiful and makes the cutscene all the more immersive.
Yes, I suppose you are right. He wouldn't want to see my face. Huh? You must be Filberto's daughter. I can see both him and Amalia in you. You have the face of a semiomancer.
Perhaps she does, but Filberto did not wish for her to walk the same path. Hence, I raise her as my own.
If Filberto is watching us from beyond, I'm sure your words have put any fears he had to rest. I will leave you to grieve. Leticia, Albert, let us away.
After this reveal, Nina informs the party that she will help convince Marcus to disclose the location of Midas, in exchange for a yet-to-be-disclosed favor in return. In order for her to do so, they must first set out for Rythal, as there is something she must show there. From then on, she joins the party. Given Nina's background as an Ayatromancer, she is obviously a healer. Given that this game does not have a mana pool in combat, I found it hard to not use her moving forward, and I especially used her in many boss battles to come. Nina's arguably the most unique character in combat, as she does not have any attack abilities unlike other healers in Star Ocean. Rather, she is mainly a support unit who heals and provides various stat boosts to the party. Because there is no mana to worry about in this game, you would not believe how much I took advantage of spamming her healing abilities against tough bosses, most especially with high AP. On my way to Rythal, I stumble upon a small altar. This altar will grant the party perks similarly to eating food at the inn each time you visit this altar. Before this can be unlocked, however, the player must find flowers called Hermes lilies somewhere in the map, a nice added feature to encourage further exploration of the field. But in my playthrough, I only managed to secure around 2 of them in the entirety of the game, as this feels more of a quest designed for completionists rather than engaging content. Not long after, we arrive at the seaport of Rythal. Given that it is a seaport, it is a gorgeous town overlooking the sea. As of this point, I could not help but be pleased on how different and beautiful each town looks so far from one another. It is also here where we are finally introduced to the much anticipated minigame, Esoa. The best way to describe the minigame is chess with RPG mechanics, where 2 players battle to take each other's HP down. The main objective is to bring your opponent's HP down to 0, and likewise, if your HP reaches 0, then you lose. Similarly to chess, pieces of pawns are placed in the board on a turn-based basis. Some pawns are definitely stronger than others. If you pre-order the game, the pieces given to you at the beginning definitely give you an edge, as they are very powerful pieces that give you a significant head start. In order to play the game effectively, you must ensure proper placement and positioning of your pawns, as they will be the ones that will damage your opponent's HP. Pawns carry various attributes such as lowering damage output to adjacent pieces, or simply deal high damage. In order to take down enemy pawns on the board, you must ensure that the pawn piece you are targeting is surrounded by your pawn pieces. Similarly, if you get careless, the opponent can do the same to you and you lose your pawns. Unlike in combat, Esoa has a mana point system, or MP in short. You earn MP by deploying pawns in the board. MP is used for what is called the special moves. Special moves are abilities that you equip prior to starting a match, and the potency of the special moves is dependent on how much MP you have accumulated. So the greater your MP, the stronger your special moves are. There are 1 of 4 special moves you can choose to equip prior to the match, and likewise, your opponent will have one of these as well. The 4 special moves are Flame Charge, Revive, Reinforce, and Enfeeble. Flame Charge outright reduces your opponent's HP. Revive, as the name implies, returns your fallen pawns for deployment should you have any that were defeated in the match. Reinforce allows you to draw more pawns in your possession for placement in the board, and Enfeeble will weaken the pawns deployed by your opponent. This is a very fun minigame to be sure. If you want to progress naturally without backtracking, I do recommend playing against as many opponents as possible whenever you stop by a town, as the rank of the opponents available in towns later in the game have very high ranking, and you will be unable to play against them if your rank is too low. The higher the rank of your opponent, the larger the board will be, and naturally, your opponent will also have better pawn pieces. Definitely a big plus in breaking the ice of the main game. After exploring around town, we overhear some civilians discussing shipment and distribution problems, as the ports have been blocked by the warships of the Veil Empire. The rivals state from that of the Kingdom of Asarius. Nina then suggests that the party proceed to the infirmary to retrieve some medical supplies as planned. Before that, however, we meet a much beloved character in the franchise.
Oh, you cannot be serious! There aren't any ships running? What's the holdup? When are they gonna set sail again?
I honestly couldn't tell you. Regular service has been temporarily suspended due to the appearance of the Imperial warships.
What? Temporarily suspended? Isn't there anything you can do?
A most eccentric young woman, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, you can say that again. Hey, looks like she might have dropped something.
Oh, a ring. I believe this symbol represents the Vineyards, a well-known merchant family in Delric.
Given the role she plays in the story, I am going to fast forward a little bit. then revert back to the story. Because in my playthroughs, the only time I used this feature was in the post-game dungeons, as I never found the necessity to use it in the main story, at least in the Galaxy difficulty. I returned to Delric Village to return the ring to the lady the party encountered in Rythal. She reveals herself to be Welch Vineyard, a descendant of a formerly prominent merchant family. From here on out, she will request you to retrieve items for her. In return, she will progressively give you access to the item creation function in the menu. Let me just say that the item creation function is truly a very powerful tool. So powerful that you can easily break the game should you decide to tinker with it. But as I said previously, the only time I actually used it was in the post-game dungeons, as the enemy difficulty has spiked significantly by then. In the menu, you can find the item creation function. Item creation is composed of 7 disciplines, namely, compounding, crafting, smithing, engineering, alchemy, authoring, and synthesis. Each member of your party specializes in one or more of these disciplines to create the best items and equipment in the game. It is also worth noting that you will eventually need to use this should you want to easily stand a chance in the post-game dungeons. You can level up your party's skill in item creation, whether through repeated use or also using SP. I strongly recommend the latter, as the former takes an unreasonable amount of work and time. Back in Rythal, the party arrives at the infirmary to pick up the medical supplies from Dr. Vanel. Raymond asks Nina why they were needed if it was only just to pick up medical supplies. Nina reveals that the true purpose why she brought the party here is to show the severity of Helgar's disease, and requests Leticia to take her along to the kingdom capital. Residing in the capital is the Semiomancy Consortium, where she will be able to perform research to cure Helgar's disease, the disease that caused her father's demise. The party agrees on this and was supposedly planning to return to Marcus. However...
Fair enough. It's not as if we gain anything by staying in Rythal.
Albert!
Pardon the indiscretion, but no need to worry. I can stand by my...
Yikes, he's burning up. This is bad. Dr. Vanel, we need you to look at someone right away. Please!
It turns out that Nina's deduction of Albert's health is correct. Fortunately, Albert is discharged the following day, and was recommended to also have a checkup with Dr. Eason. As they return to Delric, and upon a closer look by Marcus, it is revealed that Albert's left arm is a prosthetic. Marcus tells the party that only Midas is the only one that can help Albert recover from his condition, as he was the one who installed it 14 years ago. Raymond asks how is the prosthetic arm not a great discovery of the planet. Marcus implies that something went down in the past for it not to be perceived as a positive development. Afterwards, as he is unable to provide further assistance to Albert, Marcus then revealed to the party that Midas resides in Ada Village. Marcus warns them that it will not be easy to persuade Midas, given events that transpired in the kingdom prior. As the party prepares to set out for Ada, Nina privately converses with Marcus of her plans.
Any hiatromancer in my position would have.
Wait, does that mean we're leaving right now?
Indeed, time is of the essence, and Maester Felgreed is integral to our mission. We cannot afford to waste a moment.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. Then, how do I say this?
Nina. Fret not, for I would be honored if you joined us. The more allies I have in this endeavor, the better.
You heard the princess. Now see if the doc's cool with it.
Okay, I will. So I guess, Leticia, I'll be with you in just a sec.
Although in the more recent games, choice of party members is not as flexible from that of Star Ocean 1 to 3, I must say the trade-off, however, is much more emotion and nuance for the stories of each party member, which is a fine compromise in my opinion.
Anyway, he still left you that mountain of research regardless, just in case you ever decided to become an iatromancer like him. Plus, Dr. Eason made you his apprentice. What I'm trying to say is, both of them are more than happy to support you in your decision.
You think? I guess they would have.
Well, if it took us a trip to Rifle to convince the doc, who knows what it'll take to convince Midas. So let's get going.
Yeah.
I'm off, Dad. See you around.
On my way to the village of Ada, I once again encounter another quest, the mini bunnies. It boils down to finding all of them in the game, and turn them over to the mother bunny for rewards. Again, this is another side quest, but I opted to only pick up the ones I encountered. It is there, however, should you want to complete it. To get to Ada, we must first ascend the mountainous path of the Edali region. Apart from some new monsters to take on, there are also floating islands beside the path with Duma points on them. An excellent way to incentivize the player to not just walk the straight path. In the middle of the hike, the party decides to make camp and continue onwards the following day. Later that evening, Raymond receives some excellent news.
Raymond here. Who's this?
It's Elena. How are you holding up down there?
Elena? I knew it! I knew you were alive! Where are you now?
Just outside the gravitational field of the planet you're on. Unfortunately, my pod sustained damage upon ejection, rendering the attitude control inoperable. I couldn't reset the system either. I've been controlling the craft manually.
Hey, I trust you more than any autopilot system. More importantly though, send me your landing coordinates. This is an underdeveloped planet. I have no clue how long it'll take me to reach you, but I'll do everything I can to get there ASAP.
Thank you, Ray. See you soon. Over and out.
This is great news! So, she's 27 hours out, but where else she... Awesome! We're headed that way already. You're next, Chloe. I'm not leaving you behind. We're all going back to Verguld together.
The next day, the party eventually makes it to Ada, only to receive a not so welcoming reception.
Does anyone else see that thing moving?
That thing bears quite a resemblance to a cannon and is trained on us.
Out of its way! Hang back!
The semiomantic cannon started firing, and we were left with no choice but to engage in battle. After swooping with Duma and throwing as much attack as I could to prevent being barraged by multiple cannon fire, I managed to defeat them all just fine. Afterwards, the Semiomancer finally makes his reveal.
Forgive our trespass. We bear neither you nor this town ill will, Maester Felgreed.
That's Midas?
It is not without reason that we have appeared before you. Please, grant us audience.
You may have grown, Leticia, but tell me, will you still throw a tantrum if I said no?
I beg of you, Maester. We have a patient who Dr. Eason says only you are able to cure.
A patient of Marcus's? Very well. Open the gate.
We now have access to Ada, a snowy village atop a mountain. Again, Tri-Ace nails the visuals and atmosphere, as this is yet another distinct town to immerse and explore. At the end of the village lies the residence of Midas. He instructs Raymond and Leticia to stay outside as he checks on Albert's arm. Leticia remains behind while Raymond requests he join them under the guise of being a fellow Semiomancer, using Duma as his orb. Midas consents and they proceed inside. Upon checking on Albert, Midas concludes that he only has approximately half a year to live normally and would have to resign his post as he will no longer be physically fit to carry out his duties. Midas also informs them that it would have been possible to replace Albert's arm 14 years ago. The party leaves Midas's home, and Albert informs Leticia of his condition. This leads to Leticia storming in and begging Midas to help Albert, and in exchange, she will no longer bother him with affairs of the kingdom. Midas agrees to the terms, and also deduces that Raymond is not a Semiomancer, and is fascinated by Duma. Eventually, Raymond is contacted once again by Elena, and informs him that her ETA to the planet has accelerated and is beyond her control. The party quickly sets out to her rescue, with Midas escorting them to the landing site. And just like that, a black mage joins the team.
Come.
Maester?
You mean to get to that meteorite? Then follow me.
Thanks, man. I owe you.
You are good to help us, Maester. Thank you.
I do this for my village, not for you.
Uh-huh. Keep telling yourself that.
Midas informs the team that Elena landed approximately at the vicinity of the Galka Shrine. The party navigates the snowy terrain and arrives at the escape pod. It is revealed that Elena is actually an android, explaining her capabilities to easily carry Raymond early in the game. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I leave it entirely up to you. Opening the escape pod reveals that Elena is severely damaged, and suggests to Raymond that she be destroyed to prevent her technology to fall into the hands of this underdeveloped planet. Raymond, of course, rejects this idea, and is at a loss on what can be done. The party seemingly hits a dead end, until a suggestion was made.
The equipment this life form requires to reconstruct itself can most likely be recovered from your downed escape pod.
Well, you certainly pick very convenient times to start talking.
I speak only when necessary, such as my programming.
And thank you for deciding to pipe up now, because you're absolutely right. My escape pod's barely sustained any damage. Think that'd work for you, Elena?
With the suggestion of Duma, the party proceeds to return to Raymond's escape pod. Upon arrival, however, the party witnesses the escape pod being tampered with by a mysterious group.
Friends of yours?
Not sure. Don't think so.
Who's there?
Well, that certainly answers my question.
Move it or lose it, jerks! We don't have time for this!
Defeating the group proved to be of little difficulty. The party is suspicious, however, as the group seemed to be well acquainted with the technology of the escape pod. They set aside their suspicions for now, and prioritize retrieving the parts required to repair Elena. Prior to dismantling the pod, Elena informs Raymond that once they begin, communication outside the planet will no longer be possible. Raymond then attempts to contact Antonio and Raul, his father, before doing so, but to no avail. Elena tells Raymond to keep communication lines open as she can wait. Raymond dismisses the suggestion and argues that Antonio is already on the way regardless. Also, Raymond reminds Elena that they still need to find Chloe and he will need her help. Elena then concedes to Raymond. This is where the paths of Raymond and Leticia begin to diverge. I will try to put in all relevant details of both paths in this video. I will give my final assessment of this feature once there are no more splits in the story. After retrieving all the needed parts, Elena informs the party that it will take approximately 72 hours for the repairs to complete. In the meantime, while Raymond and Midas perform the repairs, Leticia, Albert, and Nina will proceed to survey around the villages to assess the reaction on Elena's crash landing, which should take approximately the length of time needed for her full recovery.
Where friends are concerned, it is a trifle.
Count me in too! You guys will need a healer on hand in case Albert's arm starts acting up again, right?
Your company would be a boon indeed. If my suspicions are correct and those men are with the Empire, then we will need all the help we can get.
We will return to the shrine 3 days hence. Elena should be on her feet by then.
Okay.
Raymond and Midas make their way back to Galka Shrine. Elena then gives them step-by-step instructions on the repair procedure. After some time, Raymond and Midas partially repair Elena. Elena tells them that from then on, she should be able to repair herself, but will still need to be watched over.
Now, and I'm worried that it's beginning to affect your efficiency.
I thought we were in a hurry.
Even the most skilled engineers need a solid rest every now and then.
A point well made. My stomach concurs as well.
While on watch, Raymond inquires with Midas on what transpired in the past that made him so bitter. Midas responds that he was cast out due to kingdom politics. Raymond leaves it be for now, and then suddenly...
Warning. Hostile entity detected.
What are you doing with that thing?
Got a problem with my friend, huh?
Any friend of it is an enemy of mine. And I won't let either of you consume another world.
The party is once again attacked by the mysterious group, this time being led by a large horned man. This boss fight proved to be of little difficulty. The obvious approach was first to take down the goons, then subsequently the large man himself. Although he had a great deal of HP, it was nothing that well-timed dodges and blindsides could not fix, and eventually I emerged victorious.
You're far more powerful than I had assumed. I was ill-prepared. You may have won today's bout, but know this. So long as you dare to remain here, you will have to contend with me.
Get back here! Let him go. It's too dangerous. Elena's repairs also have yet to be finished.
What's going on? Who was that?
Another time, lad. Now we must finish the girl's repairs, and fast.
Meanwhile, as Leticia's party backtracks around all the towns visited thus far, the townsfolk indeed saw Elena's escape pod, but are unable to adequately and accurately deduce as such. After their findings, they proceed to head back to Galka Shrine, only to also be impeded by the mysterious group also led by a horned man.
Begging your pardon, but where are you off to?
Delric. And you, sir? Are you a wayfarer?
Oh, something like that. Heard about an odd shooting star in these parts and came to see for myself. You lot seem to have a marked interest in it as well, by the sounds of it.
What?
Couldn't help but notice that orb of yours. Quite a rare specimen. Piqued my curiosity, you see. Enough of this beating around the bush, then. Are you here to retrieve us? Are you here to take us back?
Forgive me, but I do not take your meaning.
I see. Just my luck. And yours is not any better, it seems.
Warning, warning, hostile intent detected.
This fight proved to be trickier in my playthrough, as this boss was able to throw deadly attacks that nearly wiped my party out. Thankfully, Nina was not incapacitated, and I managed to use my revival item to restore Leticia and take him down.
I thought you would just roll over and die. It seems we'll have to pick this up another time.
Attempt to flee, and you will find out just how fast and painful my chakram are!
Easy there. We'll most likely see each other again soon. But until then, I'll leave the falling star to you.
Hold there! Ugh! Blast it! Of all the times! Ugh!
Albert! We must return to the others with all haste. They need to know of this.
Raymond and Leticia's group reunite and update one another on what has transpired on their end. They conclude that something is amiss, and they need to be careful moving forward. Leticia tells Raymond to rest for now, and assess their course of action the day after. The following morning, Elena wakes Raymond.
Ray, it's time to get up. You're awake, finally.
Morning to you too. How are you feeling?
Self-repairs are ongoing, but I'm at least able to operate at 70% capacity. I can move just fine now.
Ah, I slept through your first steps. Some captain I am.
Midas was there for me, in your stead.
Oh yeah? Thanks, man.
Nonsense. Any doctor or inventor would do the same.
Now that I've recovered, I can assist you. So, Captain, status report.
Elena catches up on what has transpired in her absence, while Midas chooses to continue to accompany the party, allegedly out of concern for Albert's arm and his interest as a semiomancer. The next step concluded is to continue the search for Chloe. Based on Leticia's group investigation, Rythal is about to open its port and will soon be ready to sail further east. The party heads for Rythal to travel by sea. The party arrives at Rythal only to observe that something is amiss. There seemed to be far less outdoor activity than usual. They decide to pay Dr. Vanel a visit to find out more. At the infirmary, Elena deduces that Helgar's disease has spread rampantly around town, and that they must exercise caution. She also says that everyone must wear face masks as an added safety and protection measure. Whether this plotline was written on purpose due to recent events, or simply just a coincidence, I am not sure. But if it is written due to what happened recently, do let me know in the comments below. Elena asks the party save Nina to vacate the vicinity to prevent them from acquiring the disease. In the inn, Raymond, Leticia, and Albert discuss how face masks protect them from getting infected. Raymond tries to explain to them the concept of bacteria and viruses, as it does make sense that Aster 4 is at a point where this is still foreign for their civilization. In an effort to better explain to Leticia and Albert, they decide to seek help from Midas, only to discover that he has been infected as well. Raymond updates Elena on the situation, and she asks the party to collect bird feces to better analyze the virus. The gameplay involves running around certain areas in town to collect the needed samples. Although it is routinary, the added context to why it needs to be done made it feel less of a chore in my books. After collecting the needed sample quantities, the party turns them over at the infirmary, and eventually Nina and Elena successfully develop a cure. Elena also explains to Dr. Vanel on the scientific concepts. Shortly afterwards, Elena speaks to Raymond privately. I was already contented with how much nuance this plotline had, but what happens next is probably one of my most favorite cutscenes in the game, as it apparently pushed the envelope even further, so kudos to Tri-Ace for this achievement. In their conversation, Elena leaves it to Raymond to decide whether they should disseminate the vaccine to cure the disease, as doing so may cause serious and unaccounted consequences, as they have only learned the concept of transmission of viruses just moments ago, and they will most likely not have the capabilities to respond to new developments, such as virus mutations. Raymond argues that if they do not help the inhabitants of Aster 4, many people will die regardless. So in his perspective, they are doing the right thing. Elena follows his wishes and proceeds to provide the cure. This is spectacularly done in my opinion, as this is peak writing and storytelling for the Star Ocean games. I can only hope there will be more of this in future titles. With Rythal's population cured from Helgars, the party sets out for Karo, as Midas knows of an old passage in the mountains. They have to get there by foot, as the fairies in Rythal still need more time to prepare, given what has transpired, and they don't have the luxury of time as they need to search for Chloe.
Excuses, excuses.
Silence, whelp. Now, unless anyone wants to experience what I did, I say we get moving.
The start of a beautiful friendship.
He's just not good at expressing himself, but he'll come around. I'm sure you and Albert can both sympathize with his plight.
Huh? The hell's that mean?
I think I might have an idea.
Before I set out for the next destination, I encounter a peculiar merchant in town. For completionists, this is yet another boon, as this is, should I say, quote-unquote collectible. This merchant will instruct you to search for fellow lost merchants around the planet to reap rewards. I also do not know what is the reward for completing this, as I only found the ones that I encountered along the way in the main story. But once again, this is never mandatory, and is only there should you want to accomplish it. After much traversing to places we have ventured previously so far, we eventually make our way to the hallowed Mount Galcalemthus, an ancient ice-themed ruin with lots of combat and Duma utilizing platforming. This is probably the most unique location of the game thus far, and if you're not careful with using Duma, you may get flanked by the enemies in the field. After fighting and navigating their way from the Galcalemthus ruin, in the dark woods of the Codorinth region, the party finally arrives at the seaport of Karo, the destination that the party was supposed to travel by ship from Rythal. However, upon stepping on the entrance of town, the party runs into a dispute with the local guard. Luckily, an intervention takes place, and the fighting was put into a halt.
I never expected to see your face this far west.
Theo!
Commander?
Well met, Sir Albert Bergholm. Stretching our legs with a jaunt over Galcalemthus, are we?
Bergholm? The one from the King's Guard?
Yes, the very same. Therefore, I believe an apology is in order.
Please, forgive us!
Water under the bridge. I must also apologize for my colleagues' uncouth behavior.
I merely showed them all the respect their station commands.
As ill-humored and sharp-tongued as always, Maester Felgreed. It's a wonder you deigned to join hands with anyone at all. But enough small talk. Follow me.
My compatriots did speak the truth about Kano, you know. Please don't go about repeating this to anyone. The rot is taking root here.
The party is escorted to the man's office. Inside, he introduces himself as Theo Clemrath, the commander of the Osirian Naval Forces, who is also Leticia's cousin. They first start off on the wrong foot, as Theo surmises that Raymond and his crew are from another world, and also hints that a woman of similar features has been conducting suspicious activity. Theo discloses that this woman is potentially the cause behind Helgar's and Kato, and is spotted in the Pines. Although Theo suspects that this woman is Chloe, Raymond refutes that this is unlikely the case. Leticia asks Theo to grant them permission to investigate further, as he is unable to do so due to lack of manpower and the current political instability with the Vale Empire. They also inform Theo that a cure for Helgars has been developed, and that a key ingredient for the cure has been found at the top of the mountain of the Tines. Theo grants their request, and the party proceeds to unravel the root cause of the disease in the area, and to find out more about the mysterious woman. Theo will also assist in the search for Chloe in the meantime, while the party is away.
So, what should I know about her?
Well, her name's Chloe Canaris, and she'll probably be dressed like us.
What sorcery is this?
She's a jumpy one, so no wanted posters or anything like that, got it?
As you wish. Likewise, refrain from pulling that trick again. The townspeople are on edge enough as it is.
After once again passing through the Codorinth region, the party arrives at the mountain pass. Contrary to the one in Galcalemthus, this treacherous mountain path leaves little lighting, along with being constantly blockaded by gnarly thick tree branches and other environmental hazards, and of course not to mention monsters. As the party delves deeper, they once again encounter the blue worms that appeared in Delric, and almost certainly in Rythal, implying again that there are forces acting behind the scenes. There is a unique feature here that I must point out, as I believe it is poorly implemented. If there is a solution or a more effective way of handling this that I am not aware of, do let me know in the comments below. After taking down the blue worms and proceeding further, the party encounters odd gases within some of the caverns. Once realizing the danger, Elena informs the party to stay away from the gas, as it will cause instant paralysis, except for her as she is an android. Although the tutorial indicated that there is a method to neutralize the gas, after much time and effort spent to search the supposed hint provided, I could not find the means to do so, and given there is no stop movement command for allied AI, or removal of party members, I was left with little choice but to proceed into the dangerous areas to explore what I may find. And contrary to the context provided by Elena, the gas does not cause paralysis to the rest of the party, as they can move just fine, but rather gradual reduction of health until they only have 1 HP remaining. The danger is if there are monsters within these caverns or along the way, where you're left with no choice but to walk past the gas to progress further in the map. I am not sure what happened here, but this mechanic could definitely have used more fine-tuning. With much perseverance, I managed to make it past the gas and numerous monsters standing in my path. As the party was approaching near the top of the mountain, they uncovered that there's a laboratory that seems to be producing more of the blue worms. Moments later upon the discovery, the party is attacked by the woman described by Theo, and also possessing horns not unlike the two men who assaulted both Raymond and Leticia previously. The woman is attacking the party using a laser gun, which definitely confirms that they are not from the planet. Raymond eventually gets the jump on her, and she flees further up the mountain. The party quickly pursues the assailant. The party eventually catches up to the woman, and as they were about to pry out more information, she summons a large flying creature to distract the party and get away. And thus, another boss fight commences. In my Raymond playthrough, I did not have much of a problem for this boss fight, as long as you watch out for your party's health while utilizing the VA rush to do substantial damage, it will be fine. I am not certain why I had a way tougher and longer time to finish it off in my Leticia playthrough, but I utilized the same tactics nonetheless, and I eventually take it down. With the defeat of the flying creature, Nina proceeds further in the mountain and finds the plant needed to cure Helgar's disease. Upon further investigation, Albert also makes a discovery.
Delric, Rythal, and Kato. All of them with the words, "put to testing." These are orders.
Testing?
Delric is marked with a bug, Rythal a bird, and Kato simples. This confirms without a shadow of a doubt what I feared all along. Someone means our kingdom harm.
Then, could it be?
Yes, those horned knaves plot against us, at the Empire's directive.
The party reports back to Theo on what has transpired on the mountain pass. The team concludes that for such events to take place, Imperial agents are potentially within the kingdom. Theo remarks that he also might have to request Midas for his assistance in the issue. Raymond then brings up again why Midas holds such disdain towards the kingdom despite all the events that has transpired. The rest of the group remains somewhat silent about it for the time being. Nina asks Theo for the safe transport of the plants retrieved in the mountain for further study at the Semiomancy Consortium. This is to produce a more efficient cure for Helgar's disease. Theo will also accompany the party to the Osirius kingdom capital, Ascendros, as the political instability could potentially cause Leticia to be in danger. Theo also informs the party that Chloe has been found and is currently held prisoner in the capital. He tells them that the information came from Chancellor Neon, a peacekeeper and guard captain for Osirius. Theo will vouch for Chloe's release upon reaching the capital. Soon afterwards, the party departs for Ascendros. Suffice to say that the next two places I am about to describe are probably my most favorite locations in the game. Although Star Ocean is not known for maximizing graphical fidelity, it makes up for with fantastic art direction and design. The same goes for the character models. As far as I can see, the models look great and express a unique art style given today's standards. After passing through the Codorinth region once again, the party arrives at the Osirian High Road, a vast open field rich with trees and green grass surrounded by stony hills. It can be said that I thoroughly enjoyed my time going sightseeing at the various stone formations and exploring the fertile landscape of this area, from taking on monsters to searching for more Duma points and treasure. As the party sets foot into the capital, I could not help but look in awe with the colorful and radiant art style of Ascendros. From the bright and rich various flora and fauna of the palace gardens, to the vivid white marble architecture of Castle Osirius, not to mention the various medieval stonework buildings and infrastructures in the city. The capital is indeed a sight to behold that not many modern games nowadays present. Eventually, the party makes its way inside the palace and discusses the situation with Neon. He informs Leticia that her father, King Osirius, is leading the front line at the fortifications at Baldar due to the rising tensions with the Vale Empire. In line with the urgency to reach Chloe and the current political climate, Leticia informs Neon that the party will be headed to Baldar. Neon, while initially was hesitant to grant this request as it may further aggravate the situation, eventually grants her request while Theo remains behind to assist on the matter. Midas, who chose not to participate with the discussions with Neon, chooses to remain at the Semiomancy Consortium along with Director Melthea, due to seemingly finding a way to cure Albert of his situation. It is implied, however, that Leticia reached out to Midas due to unfinished work in the past. With Chloe also at Baldar, the rest of the party sets out to the fortress city just south of the capital, as expected of a city that borders between the kingdom of Osirius and the Vale Empire. Baldar is fortified with high castle walls, with shops and homes residing within. It even has a basilica, which will be a key area in the story later. Nothing out of the ordinary of its design, but still aesthetically pleasing nonetheless. The party makes their way to King Osirius. They inform him on what has transpired, particularly that a cure for Helgars has been developed, Midas has returned to the kingdom, and Chloe, who is being held captive, is part of Raymond's crew. The king orders Chloe's immediate release.
Captain Bertrand, please inform the guards to release Chloe at once. And see to it that Leticia and her friends have a place to rest their heads.
After a long journey since literally the beginning of the game, the much-awaited reunion finally commences.
Ray? Is that really you?
It's me, all right. Good to see you safe, Chloe.
Ray! Ray! Thank goodness. I never thought that I would get out of here.
You're safe now. Everything's gonna be fine. See? Already back to normal.
While Nina and Elena conduct a checkup on Chloe, Raymond reaffirms his commitment to assist Leticia on her endeavors. She in turn asks him if they could speak privately, and naturally, Raymond obliges.
Hey, Albert.
Albert, might I ask you to assist Elena and Nina?
Of course, Your Highness. Please try not to wander off too far. Please heed what Her Highness has to say.
Raymond and Leticia proceed to the east side of Baldar. It is here that Leticia reveals the straw that broke the camel's back, as the Kingdom of Osarius and the Vale Empire were already at odds even before then. Leticia tells Raymond that they were once united through marriage with Theo's aunt as the Empress of the Empire. All had been well until the disease spread rampantly, eventually transmitting to the Empress. With the Empire's shortage of semiomancers, they requested assistance with Osarius to send more to their aid. However, this was rejected with the rationality that the kingdom is also suffering, eventually leading to the Empress's death. I will leave the rest of the cutscene to play out, as this is one of the most iconic scenes in the game. I would also like to once again commend the outstanding soundtrack.
Why are you telling me all this now?
I did not wish to keep it secret.
That kind of honesty could come back to haunt you.
If our journey is to be enjoyable, I must be open with you.
It really is a nice view.
Indeed.
I mentioned early on in this video that the characters do not follow your usual tropes. If this next cutscene does not prove that, then I do not know what will, as I was genuinely surprised with the rationality and the thought process. The following morning, the party is caught by surprise as the Vale Empire suddenly invades Baldar in full force. Leticia makes a very calculating decision on her own, which is a breath of fresh air.
Albert! Ray! Let us find Nina, Elena, and Chloe with utmost haste. It is not safe. We must leave Baldar at once.
What do you mean?
With our few number, we have no possibility to sway the tide of this battle. And as shameful, as dispiriting as it may be, our duty precedes us. We must avoid the crown princess of the kingdom being killed or captured by the Empire.
Your Highness,
Leticia.
The assurance of my safety should bring solace to the captain and father. I will not tempt Vale with our kingdom on a platter. Let us depart.
The party rushes to King Osarius, as they assess the situation leading to the attack, and how the Empire managed to use weaponry beyond what is supposed to be feasible. Elena surmises that the Horned assailants previously may have had a hand in the situation. The party concludes that they must retreat back to Ascendros for the time being, as the Empire has superior firepower. Leticia once again demonstrates exemplary character that does not follow tropes.
Father, Captain, we must retreat at once.
What are you saying? You would have us abandon Baldar?
That is precisely what I am saying. We have not a moment to lose.
Your Majesty, the Imperial forces are much more powerful than we had anticipated. Please understand, their strength is likely bolstered by interlopers from the sky as well. We stand no chance.
Interlopers from the sky? What madness do you speak of?
We've witnessed unbelievable power throughout our travels. Incredible power from those beyond the sky.
Ray and the others are from an advanced civilization far superior to that of the Vale Empire. Please, you must heed my words.
This is where I learned the hard way on how to utilize team tactics. Admittedly, I almost raged quit in this incoming fight, but thankfully I managed to figure it out eventually. After fighting through Empire forces in Baldar, in the middle of the high road, the party is ambushed by a familiar foe.
What the heck is that thing?
Bertrand Corps, shield His Majesty!
It is worth noting in combat that you can tweak ally AI behavior in 3 methods: maintain focus, split focus, and freeform. Maintain focus commands your allies to also attack the opponent you're attacking or targeting. Split focus is the exact opposite, where allies attack opponents other than the ones you are targeting, unless there's only one enemy in battle. Freeform is leaving the AI to act on their own. Little did I know at this point in my playthrough how critical this feature is, as this was the key to victory or defeat. Up until this point, I kept using maintaining focus, which is not ideal for this battle, as I will show in the incoming clips. It's insane. Wow. Wait, let's run around first. Let's see what's supposed to happen.
I suggest you
Prevail.
Okay, let's split. Let's split. I think that's the best way. Split. And after just one attempt in changing AI tactics, oh god. Finally emerging victorious after multiple attempts, another battle occurs almost immediately. But thankfully it just serves as a tutorial for a new Duma feature called Estuary Cage. By pressing L2, Duma will switch to another mode that boosts the party's defense attributes, such as decreased damage taken, or less likely to flinch when receiving damage. Personally, I did not use this feature as it comes with the costs of being unable to use the attack features of Duma, such as the Vanguard Assault and Blindsiding, though I will not dismiss that it could be efficient in particular battles. After the battle, the party succeeds in their escape with the aid of reinforcements from Kingdom Generals Duke Clemrath, who is Theo's father, and General Canis. During the council, the generals of the kingdom argue their next course of action, but are unable to arrive at a consensus. Neon suggests to remain on standby for the time being, while King Osarius recovers. Director Melthea then instructs the party to proceed to the Semiomancy Consortium, as Midas has been concerned since the attack, and she will be revealing new details. At the Semiomancy Consortium, Director Melthea discloses why Leticia set out for Midas. It is revealed that 14 years ago, Midas has been developing a weapon for Semiomancers called the Folga, but was never completed as it lacked the sufficient power to function. Director Melthea informs the party that since then, a discovery has been made where it is now possible to complete the Folga. But to do so, they will need a material called the Levitas ore, and can only be found in the Nilbeth Ancient Coil, which lies south of Aster 4 at the lands of the Trathen, and can be reached by ship. The party sets out for Nilbeth with Elena staying behind in Ascendros to monitor the situation, and also to take care of Chloe as she is still adjusting to the planet. Taking a ship from the seaport of Caro, the party arrives at Nilbeth, a tropical island brimming with hills, bushes, and trees that conceal chests and other loot. Another well-made location that does not repeat themes from prior dungeons. Not to mention, it is fun to explore as you may never know what you may find within the dense thickets. Progressing through the land and making their approach to the ancient coil, the party encounters an acquaintance of Midas being attacked by Imperial troops. Naturally, the party assists her with little opposition. With the fall of the Imperial troops, Midas and the woman converse as they have not seen each other for quite a while. She also appears to know both Leticia and Albert.
That is all well and good, but you do not appear to be in the best of health.
You see right through me.
I could sense the osseous core I separated with 14 years ago. But I never imagined Midas would be with it.
Osseous core? Oh. So, was that the material used to replace Albert's arm all those years ago?
Welcome, Midas, Princess Leticia, and your brave young companions. I am Mulkia Trathen. I am the leader of the Trathen tribe, the native peoples of Nilbeth.
As much as I was excited to get to know Malkia and the Trathen, unfortunately, this is where Tri-Ace's lack of development resources begin to manifest, as most of the lore of the Trathen is done through Malkia's exposition, rather than experiencing them in the game. I also wish that the Trathen played a much larger role in the story, rather than constant narration by Malkia. Not long after their interaction, the party reaches the Nilbeth Ancient Coil. Although it does look different from all the other towns visited, I felt that it was lacking in overall design. Even if the game eventually added context that it is an old ruin, and that the Trathen tribe decided to use the top level as a settlement, it would have been much better had it been designed more specifically as a village, heavily modified, with more tribe-made stalls or bungalows, rather than just simply a ruin with bedrooms. After some exploration, the party converses with Malkia of their intent on Nilbeth. To their surprise, save Midas, who still wanted to carefully safeguard the information. She is already aware of the Folga, as it is revealed that she, Midas, Filberto, and Marcus are the ones who designed it. Before she can grant the party's request to mine Levitas ore deeper in the ruin, Malkia requests the party to take down the Imperial patrols surrounding Nilbeth to protect the town, as well as prevent any disruptions of the extraction of the ores. After scouring around Nilbeth for the Imperial troops, the party manages to take them all down. However, something was off as it did not prove to be difficult by any means. Soon after, they are informed by a messenger that the Ancient Coil is under attack. Awaiting the party at the Ancient Coil was the horned man who attacked the Tissis group when Elena's escape pod crashed, confirming his allegiance with the Veil Empire. He introduces himself as Gaston, and particularly takes interest in Duma. A fight ensues with Gaston once again. With my party in full, I did not encounter any problem taking him down this time around, most especially after taking down his goons.
See you again, Duma. And here's hoping we all have a more worthwhile chat next time.
No doubt about it. He's just like the guy we met when repairing Elena, and the woman on Mount Cotarant. They're humanoids from a developed planet. And this Gaston? He isn't shy about using their technology here either.
In any case, we have repelled their offensive. I doubt they will return anytime soon.
Back in Malkia's quarters, she informs the party that they will be unable to begin excavation of the ores for the time being, as the Trathan tribe are wounded from the Imperial assault. She also informs Albert that she will bestow a new Osseous core to be able to produce a new arm for him to resume his duties. I would have wanted this plotline to be further expounded, most especially with regards to Albert's struggle during the 14 years. This is also sadly where Albert's major story arc comes to a close this early in the game.
Oh, that's great, Albert. Now you can go on being a knight.
I can hardly believe it. Thank you. Thank you.
The implantation procedure should only take one night. Let us all rest in anticipation of our journey for the Levitas ore come the morrow.
Later that evening, as Malkia performs surgery on Albert, Leticia and Raymond speak in private. The flashback artwork is used once again, though if I am not mistaken, this is the last time it is shown, which is a great shame as it is truly an effective method of storytelling.
It was then an unfortunate accident befell me. The decrepit castle walls, long since fallen into disrepair, came falling from above. Yet I was unharmed. The one who shielded me. It was Maester Midas and Lady Malkia who saved Albert's life. But their actions served as the catalyst for the three wise men's exile from the kingdom. Some decried the transplanting of limbs between species as a vile, evil, unforgivable act. Maester Midas suffered much, but so too did Maesters Marcus, Filberto, and Lady Malkia. They were all brought before the court to answer for their blasphemous deed. Maester Midas was spared the mark of treason, but ultimately banished. Lady Malkia's studies at the Semiomancy Consortium were ended, our relations with Nilbeth severed. And Maester Marcus and Filberto followed Maester Midas into the hinterlands.
With that revelation revealed, it would have been far more effective had the flashback artwork extended all the way up to that reveal, or at the very least a flashback cutscene of Midas, Malkia, Filberto, and Marcus being exiled, rather than Leticia simply narrating the events. Though I appreciate the fleshed out political intrigue of Astor IV. The following day, we learn that Albert's surgery is a success, and excavation of the Levitas ore can finally commence. However, just when the party was about to venture deeper into the ruin, news from the kingdom arrives as King Osiris' condition has deteriorated, and Neon wishes for Leticia to return to the kingdom. Raymond suggests that she does so, while he and the rest of the party continue to excavate the Levitas ore. Once again, the paths of Raymond and Leticia diverge.
You should go, Leticia.
Now?
Look, your people are calling for you in their time of need. It's them you've been fighting for all along, right?
If the king has truly fallen, nothing will prevent Lambert from doing whatsoever he pleases. He may even impede our work on the Folga.
I'll keep Elena updated on our situation with this. We can handle the rest here.
Very well. I leave the retrieval of the Levitas ore in your hands.
No problem. And Albert, you'll be going with her, right?
Of course. I leave the rest here to you. Should any trouble arise, I shall inform Elena with all haste.
I'll stay behind. If I left, and Ray or the others got sick or hurt, they'd be in trouble.
As shall I, as an authority on Levitas ore.
I await good tidings in the Royal City.
Yeah, we will see you soon.
Upon the return of Leticia and Albert to Ascendros, they witness that it is now under siege by the Empire. Near the entrance, they encounter Neon and proceed to fight their way to the palace entrance, where they intercept Theo. Theo also joins the party as they reunite with Elena and Chloe inside the palace. Soon after, they eventually find King Osarius in a hidden passageway within the palace. As they were about to escape, the party unravels a horrible truth.
Lord Neon, what is the meaning of this?
I must truly thank you for leading me here, Your Highness. If not for you, we would have never found it.
A gas mask! Everyone, down the passageway!
Too late! I am sorry, Princess Leticia, but there will be no escape. Both you and your father shall be returned to the palace immediately. It does not seem to be working as quickly as I'd hoped. I was told this substance would work near instantaneously if used within close confines.
Perhaps you underestimated the proper dosage.
How could you?
Theo, how could you?
The active ingredient in this nerve gas was extracted from the fungi from Mount Codorinth. Am I correct?
Ah, I see now. You must be this android that they had spoken of.
I am certainly not surprised you know about me, given your close connection to the Vale Empire. Allow me to give you a demonstration. It can't be.
As the party awakens within their prison cells, Neon and Theo pay them a visit, revealing what they had planned behind the scenes. Also with them is the Horned Woman the party encountered at Mount Codorinth, confirming that Theo had been colluding with them the entire time. Neon discloses that Leticia and King Osarius will be publicly executed. Albert then lashes out at Theo for allowing this to happen. Theo, in an effort to rationalize his actions, tells Albert that had Raymond not intervened and resumed their search for Midas at Delric, both Leticia and him would have been out of harm's way.
Now, tinders to the flame.
The boy lacks resolve, unlike his father. Albert, my original plan only required you to be absent from the capital, away from His Majesty.
No, you cannot mean...
It is just as you imagine.
Neon, what happened to that orb that was with the princess?
Orb?
We call it Duma. It's highly dangerous. Last I saw it was with the princess. Where is it now?
It will be found. Not to worry. I doubt it will be much of an issue once we have executed the princess.
That is for us to decide. We need to begin our analysis of the android. Hurry it up.
Sometime after, Neon brings Leticia and King Osarius to the throne room. He informs them that Duke Clemrath will be ruling the kingdom moving forward, and King Osarius will be executed as a sign of good faith and allegiance with the Vale Empire. Leticia, on the other hand, is offered to marry Prince Gerard, the son of Emperor Boldor. If she rejects the proposal, she will be executed as well, in which she does. Theo, once again in an attempt for some redemption, begs Leticia to accept the deal, so that there will be hope that she may yet change the situation. Leticia rejects this notion and reaffirms her stance. Neon then commands the guard to take them for execution.
Her Highness has chosen to die with dignity. Who are we to deny her of such?
Damn you!
Both Lola and myself, and now you too, have afforded the princess every opportunity to consider her options. She has made her choice. Take them away.
What will you do with us?
You have rejected our every guarantee of safety. Surely you know.
I suppose I do.
Raymond's team ventures deeper into the ancient coil. It is what you normally expect in a ruin-type dungeon, with your fair share of standard puzzles to open the path and pick up various loot. They eventually make it to the deepest part of the ruin, and find the rich source of the Levitas ore. The team decides to head back up to begin excavation plans.
It's strange.
If it is of no great import, let us accomplish what we set out to do. We should return to the surface. Malthea and I must sort out our excavation plan.
Just as the Trathan have been excavating the Levitas ore, Raymond receives a call from Elena, back when she had not yet been hit by the EMP of Neon, informing him of the situation of Ascendros. Moments after, General Canis invades Nilbeth in an effort to put a stop to the excavations.
Silence! Relent or be slain! You and these barbarians of Nilbeth.
I think it is plain who the barbarians are here. You shall regret those words.
Have at them! Kill them all!
Naturally, we defeat Canis without difficulty. He then explains to Raymond's team what has transpired in the kingdom, and the fate of Leticia's team. Malkia then offers a solution to return to the kingdom in time to rescue them.
To fruition, I will not suffer fools to...
You dare to laugh at dreams, yet you cannot even perceive reality. Midas, what will become of the Fulga now?
It will likely be disposed of, never to be completed.
That I will not allow. I suppose I have no choice but to use my secret art and send you back to Ascendros.
The party's teleportation leads them near Albaird's proximity, due to his link with Malkia's osseous core. After Albaird updates Raymond's team with what has transpired on their end, they proceed to reach palace grounds and eventually encounter Theo, and interrogate him with various details, beginning with his reasons for his betrayal. Theo argues that with the technology of the Vir, the race of the horned men and women, the Empire holds a significant advantage in strength, believing that they would suffer defeat. With some counter-arguments from the party, Theo eventually agrees to cooperate with them to rescue Leticia and turn the tables on the invasion.
I'm no match for you, Albie. I do not believe news of my detainment has spread. If I accompany you, none will suspect a thing.
You got a plan in mind?
I can guide you to the execution site. Or rather, Albie should be able to guide you. You must go and save Letty. I will work to free Bertrand, and round up those knights who are not party to the coup.
The party proceed to enact their plan and execute a counterattack.
Later. Helena!
Ray's plan is too reckless by half.
Your Majesty, are you all right?
Quite, yes.
Quit gawking! Kill them!
Lola, Neon, what are you two doing?
Colonel Valange!
Could that be?
Yup. Looks like this bastard's another one of the Vir helping the Empire.
You stay out of this! The princess's life is mine!
With the defeat of Neon and the retreat of the Virians, the rebellion has been suppressed, and Duke Clemrath and Theo have been captured. A meeting was held soon after the kingdom was reclaimed. In it, they discuss what their next course of action will be. While it was proposed that in order to combat the Empire, the construction of the Fulga must be completed. Midas informs everyone that they lack the sufficient time to do so. In an effort to buy more time to complete the Fulga, Leticia proposes to take up the offer of the Veil Empire prior to her execution. She will accept the marriage proposal with Prince Gerard to be able to stall the Imperial counterattack, while prying for information within the Imperial capital. The plan is agreed upon, and once again both Raymond and Leticia go their separate ways.
Hail, Her Highness Princess Leticia!
Let us be off, Chloe.
Yes, my lady.
Watch your backs out there.
To be frank, I am not a fan of the execution of the route split here, as it entails a lot of menial tasks and fetch quests, so I will only be discussing what I perceive to be the iconic cutscenes. For Leticia's route, we are finally introduced to Baldur, the Emperor of the Veil Empire. He implies that they are aware that there is an underlying motive for the arrangement, and that the wedding will commence within 7 days. She also gets to spend time with Prince Gerard, who is surprisingly very self-aware of the situation and what Leticia truly feels. He also expounds on the difficult state of the Empire, such as the economic repercussions of their attack and lack of prioritization in the field of semiomancy. Leticia also gets to have a conversation with Lola, the horned woman with Gaston and Valange. Based on the tone of the interaction, she may not be as hostile as initially implied.
Why exactly are you here, pray tell? Have you aims at world domination?
The man from Vergold taught you a lot, huh? But I'm not gonna answer that question until I ascertain how you came to travel with Duma. Well, I have nothing to say to you.
Would you have a mind to leave me be, then?
Only if I could. But I am here to inform you, dinner is served. So please return to your room.
Very well.
For Raymond, apart from the rest of the party bonding and performing their duties with the plan, he received a distress call while sneaking in Baldar, the venue of the wedding.
Does this device belong to Raymond Lawrence, captain of the Aegis, outbound from the planet of Vergold?
Huh? This ain't no Vergoldian code. Who is this?
Pardon the sudden contact. This is the first officer of the Pan-Galactic Federation vessel Astoria, Mario
The
L.
Astoria? You've got some nerve.
Please, allow me to explain. We are currently en route to rescue the crew of the Aegis.
Rescue? I've got a record of you destroying the Aegis, and a freighter's worth of evidence of you breaching your own UP-3. Once I'm off this rock, you are done for. You hear me?
Wait, who is in violation of the UP-3? Explain yourself, please. What is going on?
I ain't looking for help from someone who shot me down in the first place. I've already made contact with Vergold and got some actual help on the way. Thanks for wasting my time. Over.
Wait, we still have to.
Like I'm not busy enough.
The day of the wedding finally arrives. As Baldur is about to crown Leticia with a mysterious out-of-world-like device, the kingdom makes their move.
Leticia!
Ray! Burned into my mind.
Yeah.
Have you my blade?
Of course. I presumed you might ask after it?
You have my thanks. Now, let us join our allies in the fray.
With the continuous assault on the Veil Empire, the party once again faces off with Valange and Gaston in unison. Nothing too difficult in this fight, as the best tactic is to focus on them one at a time before attacking the other. Though Valange did get to incapacitate me a couple of times due to his attack power and range. With the defeat of Valange and Gaston, the kingdom begins solidifying the recaptured fortress. Gaston makes an attempt to attack King Osirius, but then the best girl makes her debut.
I am Lieutenant Mariel L. Kenny of the Pan-Galactic Federation. The two of you are under arrest for violation of the Underdeveloped Planet Preservation Pact. Behind you, Raymond!
Neon, the battle is over. Surrender now.
Then die.
Father! Open your eyes! Please!
Radio your sick bay.
What?
Listen to me. That ship of yours knows what's going on down here. Get that man into a med pod now!
Father!
Don't worry, Leticia. The king is gonna be okay.
Do you truly mean it?
You bet. Now let me introduce you to our savior who's gonna see to it. A golden child of the Pan-Galactic Federation, and apparently a regular UP3 rule breaker, Lieutenant Mariel Kenny. I've got a lot of questions, and you've got the answers.
King Osarius manages to recover thanks to the healing pod of Mariel's ship. Soon afterwards, Raymond and his crew, along with Leticia, asks Mariel to explain her side of the story, as she is one of the pilots of the Astoria, the battle cruiser that shot down Raymond's ship at the start of the game. Though Mariel was one of the co-pilots, she reveals that it was under the orders of Captain Bennett, her superior officer and commander of the Astoria. Despite her attempts to stop and overrule Bennett's orders, she was unable to do so as the majority of the crew remained obedient to him, leading to her dismissal from the ship. In order for her to reach the Aegis and Raymond's crew, Mariel, along with some of the other crew of the Astoria that doubted Bennett, hijacked a Federation merchant vessel. The group deduces that the underlying motive of Bennett to attack the Aegis is to retrieve Duma. It is also revealed that the Virians are deserters of the planet Fear, explaining why they are few in number. Chloe also makes a theory that the Virians are loyally serving the Empire, and not just for their own self-gain. It was then concluded that Mariel and the rest of the team's objectives align. They will take the offensive to the Empire to end the war, and capture the Virians to unravel the missing details. And with that, Mariel joins the party. To get to the capital of the Vale Empire, the party must cross the desert lands of the Vale region, a land of mostly sand and hills, which is probably a symbol of the Empire's more impoverished economy, as tackled by Prince Gerard during the wedding arrangement in Leticia's side. After crossing the Vale region and fighting the defending troops within the Imperial capital, the party eventually makes it to the palace entrance, where they face a familiar foe, who seemingly went through some sort of infusion enhancement.
This will never change until one or the other is no more!
Neon, what is it that has pushed you this far?
Osarius ignored the plight of the Empire when the rot ravaged us 15 years ago. Even with just a few of your iatromancers, my parents, my loving brothers and sisters would still be with me this day.
But Osarius is not solely to blame!
Silence! I forsook not only my family, but even our Empress Tatiana will find no clemency with me.
And off to battle Neon for one last time. Given I used Mariel, the trouble in this fight is being able to crowd control all the numerous reinforcements that surround the party. Once again, I definitely suffered a few incapacitations, but nothing that I could not handle eventually. With the fall of Neon, the party proceeds toward the inner palace, fighting more soldiers along the way. Eventually, they make it to the throne room where the three Virians and the Emperor await. With their refusal to surrender, it is also revealed that Duma is a special model compared to the others, by being autonomous, meaning it is not connected to the main network along with other Duma, and having combat capabilities. It is also implied that the Virians and Boldor have an escape plan and is merely buying time. It was at this point in the game where I realized that the AI can be easily exploited if you play as Mariel in combat. With the defeat of the Virians, Boldor refuses to surrender and challenges the party in combat. In my first time defeating him, I was surprised how quickly I managed to take him down with no trouble. This was where I realized that the enemy AI has a strong tendency to target the player character over your allies. Because I was using Mariel, I simply kept shooting Boldor from a safe distance, and when he is getting close, I sprint to prevent him from dealing damage to me, while my allies do bulk of the damage to him. This will prove to be a very viable tactic for the rest of the story battles in the game for single bosses. As the party defeats Boldor, the origin of Duma is finally revealed. Duma explains that it is a Scorpium, a cybernetic collective with the goal of continuous ethical evolution, where the process involves the integration of artificial and organic life. Duma is a probe that is tasked to seek out potential organic candidates for integration.
Our primary purpose for integrating cybernetic and organic life is a congruence that draws upon the strengths of both sides to the fullest. We do not seek evolution that extends along a course biased toward one side or the other.
So you aren't just cyborgs then?
No, the reverse, in fact. It is not so much making an organic base more cybernetic, but Scorpium is rather making certain aspects of a cybernetic base more organic.
Affirmative. The observations of the Arnold Robotics android are astute, as expected.
Wait, what? The base is cybernetic?
The end morphological faculties may appear as such. However, it is also conscious as a life form. In other words, major philosophical differences emerge when the concepts that form the basis of self-awareness are derived from either organic or cybernetic. These present some drastic differences in outlook.
I mentioned previously that in order for the 6th installment to be successful in the context of its story writing, is its nuance and not the innovation. I am glad to say that in the latter half of the game, Tri-Ace successfully executes the sci-fi aspects of the story, as well as the other gray areas of Scorpium integration. Soon after the revelation, Gaston and Valanche retreat with Boldor, leaving behind Lola, but not before revealing their plan to perform Scorpium integration with Boldor. Mario is informed by the crew of the Akizuki, the ship that she stole, that an unknown aircraft is approaching the Aster system along with the Aldous, the ship of Antonio coming from the opposite side. Raymond informs Antonio to be on the lookout for the unknown vessel. The party then remains on standby for the time being.
Now, I take it we don't have any leads on where the Emperor and his friends ran off to.
No, I'm afraid not.
In short, this means we've won?
It most certainly does not feel that way.
Now that there are no more oppositions remaining in the Empire, King Osarius and Prince Gerard re-establish peace between the two kingdoms. As Osarius is in celebration for their victory, Raymond and the other non-Aster 4 party members temporarily depart to prepare to pursue Boldor and the Virians, while Leticia's team will begin to question Lola, thus beginning the final split of the two paths.
Ray,
No better hands for this nation to be in than yours.
Farewell, Ray.
Goodbye, Leticia.
Leticia visits Lola in her cell. In exchange for her cooperation, Lola will be spared along with Gaston and Valanche should they be amenable. She will also be prevented from being taken by the Pan-Galactic Federation. Lola reveals that their planet has been fully integrated by Scorpium, and the three of them flee to Aster 4 to regroup and somehow reclaim Vir. But Lola on a personal level just wishes to live peacefully with Valanche. She then deduces that Valanche, Gaston, and Boldor are at the Terranus, the ship they used to get to Aster 4. Lola escorts the party as she is the only one who knows how to proceed inside the ship. After battling somewhat challenging monsters and solving some tricky puzzles, Leticia's team eventually reaches the bridge. At the Akizuki, Mariel appoints Raymond as captain of her crew, and Raymond updates Antonio on the situation. Antonio also discloses that they managed to rescue all of the crew of the Aegis, and that they are returning to Vergold, their home planet. All seemed well, until the unidentified ship was nearing the Akizuki, and has been identified by Duma as a Scorpium. The two ships remain on standby initially, although Duma seems to be certain that the ship will not attack, as Duma believes Scorpium do not attack unprovoked.
At any rate, our safest bet is to not provoke them for now. But it won't be long before they detect the Aldous approaching too.
This is going to be a long 8 hours.
Better to take rests in shifts. Elena, contact me immediately if that Scorpium ship so much as twitches.
Roger.
Kudos to Tri-Ace for giving a very in-depth explanation on space travel, because in my opinion it wasn't really necessary for them to do so. Some time has passed, and the Akizuki gets contacted by Lola from the bridge of the Terranus. Lola warns Raymond's team that the Scorpion ship is taking an aggressive stance, most likely to attack the Akizuki. Let me just say the amount of detailed explanation in this scene is absolutely fantastic.
You are facing off with the Scorpion ship, yes?
What's going on? Leticia, why are you with Lola?
We'll get to that later. Lola to the Akizuki. The Scorpion vessel is gaining altitude. It's begun to circle around while decreasing absolute speed.
Decreasing absolute speed? You mean it is adopting an aggressive posture?
We are still in the shadow of the planet and cannot confirm this from our end. Tactical and schematic maps still display a predicted trajectory.
Lola, can you send your schematics over to us?
Already done.
Thanks. There they are. Damn it. Cutting comms for now. Break orbit. Course 120. Mark 180.
Roger!
Raise defensive shields. Reroute full energy to the rear.
Got it.
Energy signatures indicate they are preparing to attack. They are using optical weaponry. Shields at 65%. Restoring them now.
Damn. Over 30% from a single hit? That's definitely a battleship. There's no way we can survive until the Aldous gets here. Can we escape?
Impossible. We must abandon ship.
As Raymond and Mario's crew retreat back to the surface of Astor 4, they once again reunite with Leticia's team, and they inform Raymond's group that Boldor, Valange, and Gaston are within the Terranus. The party then proceeds to once again venture inside. Upon reaching the lowest part of the Terranus, it is revealed that Valange and Gaston have begun integration with Scorpion. How Boldor acquired the knowledge of the Scorpion integration process is from another Duma that followed the variants to Astor 4, but with Lola being unaware of this. They also explain that the Scorpion ship the party faced earlier is allegedly the leader of the Scorpion, or what is called the Sovereign. In an effort to buy more time for the Sovereign to reach Boldor, Valange, and Gaston, the latter two face off against the party. After some time in combat, the party realizes that Valange and Gaston have gained an enormous amount of strength from their integration. It was here that Boldor reveals his plot to subjugate the entire Astor 4 with Scorpion integration, whether by choice or not. This is also the underlying reason why the Veil Empire began its invasion across the planet. He also reveals that Leticia was supposed to be the prelude for this during her wedding with Gerard, explaining the mysterious device that she was supposed to be crowned with prior to her rescue. Eventually, the three manages to escape, and Leticia requests Raymond to take her and the rest of the Astor 4 party members with them, to put a stop to Boldor's plan. Raymond agrees, but at the condition that Leticia makes her preparations prior to joining him. Although this is the final split of the two paths, I hardly consider this an actual split, as all that transpires on Leticia's side is running around Astor 4 with some predictable dialogue, including the recruitment of Theo. The most significant portion of this split for Leticia is having her exclusive party member Theo to join the party. Getting him to join is not difficult, but rather tedious, as it involves getting him out of prison and convincing him to join as a path of redemption. Honestly, this plotline is very much underbaked, as the game focuses far too much on his actual betrayal and giving almost no regard on how he arrived at the conclusion of betraying Osiris. Had there been several flashback cutscenes such as the artwork style storytelling previously, I believe Theo's backstory would have been far more fleshed out. This is what I was pertaining to earlier when I mentioned that mandatory party members have far more detail in their story versus their optional counterparts. Now, for my final verdict on the two story paths, I do believe it requires more depth in storytelling and gameplay, as it is very easy to deduce what happens on the other side, since they summarize it for you anyway. It requires refinement, as exclusive events felt like doing side quests. With that said, I do believe the game would have a better overall presentation with just one story path. If you are a hardcore Star Ocean or JRPG player, then I do recommend playing both as Raymond and Leticia to witness the story in its entirety. Otherwise, just one run will suffice. As Leticia's team rejoins Raymond's, Antonio is taken up to speed with all the events that has transpired. Antonio then appoints Raymond as captain of the Aldous for their mission to pursue the Scorpion ship. As they were searching for leads, they detect and communicate with the Pan-Galactic Federation ship, the Vela Gulf, led by Captain Curtis Aldridge. Despite the distrust at the beginning, both parties agree to meet face-to-face to share information. Before setting up a meeting location, Curtis reveals that they are pursuing the Astoria as it has gone rogue.
Coordinates for the rendezvous point received. Our ETA is 10 hours, 57 minutes. Ray? No. Captain. I think that we can trust him.
I agree. We may gain some valuable information this way.
You should be more worried about getting arrested. We have no reason to trust them, or think that they have our best interests at heart.
Arrested. Oh, yes. I suppose you're right.
Either way, we still have 11 hours until we know for sure. Alright everyone, let's take breaks and shifts.
What of us?
Right. Allow me this opportunity to give you all a tour of the ship. Raymond may be the captain now, but the Aldous is still my ship after all.
Understood. You have my thanks, Sir Antonio.
The succeeding cutscene shows the party members from Aster 4 getting acquainted with the concept of outer space. I will take this opportunity to point out that although this cutscene shows their first experience that is beyond their imagination, I find it odd that later on in the game there will be private actions for each of them, as if it is their first time once again. I do believe those private actions could have better been executed. While waiting for Captain Curtis, Raymond, Leticia, and the others discuss with Duma the ramifications and morality of Scorpium integration. Duma still persists that all Scorpium adhere to the collective principles, but does begin to doubt if this is indeed absolute. Duma also reveals that the reason it was in the Edis to begin with is to seek out candidates in Vergold for integration. Upon meeting Captain Curtis, he reveals that a separate Scorpion faction called the Centralists are attacking the Menuk system. The team believes that this is the same faction that attacked Vir and forced upon integration into its inhabitants. What's more, it is suspected that there are officers of the Pan-Galactic Federation who are working with the Centralists, and most likely also with Boldor. Captain Curtis and Raymond agree to work together to know more about the Scorpion ship and the Centralists. The party then proceeds to the Menuk system. The Aldous reaches the Menuk system to find its defenses falling apart against the Scorpion. Together with Captain Curtis, Raymond attempts to combat and outmaneuver the Scorpion ships. Again, Tri-Ace goes above and beyond with the sci-fi storytelling of space combat.
10-second intervals on these coordinates.
Understood.
Divert to course 270, mark 180. Match the movements of the Vela Gulf.
Roger, Captain. I'll do my best.
Distance between Bravo and Charlie is 100,000 kilometers. Both ships are taking evasive action.
Now, hit Bravo with all we've got!
Two torpedoes have hit. Bravo has ceased turning.
The Vela Gulf's attacks on Charlie also landed.
Bullseye!
Bravo and Charlie are on a collision course.
Together with the Vela Gulf, they manage to defeat the Scorpion ships and successfully identify the ship codenamed Bravo as the ship that was on Aster 4. The party boards the ship to explore what lies within.
Strange. This vessel is...
What's up?
Ray, I am picking up multiple life signs ahead.
Many of the Scorpium do not possess detectable life signs. I suggest exercising caution.
The visuals of the Scorpion battleship are pretty standard for an alien ship. What I do need to point out in this location, however, is the misplaced mechanic implemented here. In this map, there will be points where you will need to push debris by charging at it directly using the VA rush of Duma to be able to progress in the map. Again, this is standard puzzle design for JRPGs. The flaw that I need to criticize, however, is that this tutorial should have appeared later on in the map, as I literally spent approximately 20 to 30 minutes trying to figure out which debris the tutorial was pertaining to, only to eventually find out that this mechanic was meant for a deeper part of the map. So I wasted a significant amount of time because of being misled by the tutorial. This is something that a quick patch can easily fix, and I do hope Tri-Ace does so. Delving deeper into the battleship, the party encounters a Scorpion warrior engaging against Scorpion Integrated Federation Centralists. The party assists the warrior and naturally defeat the Centralists. The warrior then reveals that it was trying to protect the people behind it from forced Scorpium integration. This forces Duma to conclude that the Centralist faction undeniably exists and is opposing the main Scorpium network by force. The warrior also explains that Valange and Gaston reached out to them under the guise of requiring assistance to reach outer space. But this was obviously a ruse in order to force their vessel into integration, as the Centralists also seek out the candidates that the main Scorpium network deems as suitable. It is emphasized that the difference between the Scorpium and Centralists is that the Scorpium offers the choice of integration, and should be of the free will of the individual, as opposed to the Centralists forcing it upon them. The warrior sets itself as an example as it decided to pursue integration out of its own free will, as a means of survival or to extend its lifespan. This serves to be a very gray area of the subject matter, which I appreciate Tri-Ace attempting to add nuance into. The warrior introduces himself as JJ, and tells the party that the battleship is unstable and will be pursuing Boldor, Valange, and Gaston to put a stop to their transgressions. The party decides to aid JJ in exchange for more information about the Scorpium. JJ is the optional final party member exclusive to Raymond's path. I do believe that JJ's story is more fleshed out compared to Theo's, as JJ tackles the gray area of the main plot of the game, unlike Theo that is more self-centered in nature. JJ is also more unique combat-wise, as he is designed to soak in attacks and perform a counter against them, whereas Theo is but another close combat fighter which we have more than adequate of already.
Fine, so be it. You, got a name, bud?
Please, call me JJ.
All right, JJ. We'll do all we can to help you out. But, in exchange, I want you to tell us everything about the Scorpium.
Thank you.
Whoa, whoa!
I must paint a strange picture, bowing before you in this body. However, let this be proof that I remain still an individual, though I bear the form you now see. You have my heartfelt gratitude for saving the lives of my friends.
What exactly is happening here?
At the end of the battleship lies Boldor, Valange, and Gaston, with Boldor now integrated into the Scorpium network as well.
From the wedding.
The Emperor was most impressive. His integration went flawlessly.
Boldor, what is it you hope to bring about with this power?
As an emperor, it is only natural to desire peace and prosperity for my people. Halcyon days lie ahead for the subjects of Vale in all of Aster 4 through Scorpium integration. Our planet will be connected, one network, one beating heart, free of war and suffering.
Shortly after, a fight commences with the newly integrated Boldor. Despite what the story implied, I utilized the same tactics with Mario back when he was not yet integrated, and I managed just fine. Despite defeating Boldor, they managed to escape once again. It is also revealed that the Astoria is working alongside the trio, and is on the verge of destroying the Scorpion battleship. The party successfully escapes due to the support of the Vela Gulf. Curtis then tells Raymond to warp out of the Minook system, as the Astoria is still relentless on its pursuit for them, and that they will distract them in the meantime. The party manages to escape the Minook system, with the fate of the Vela Gulf unknown. Given they have no leads, Raymond requests JJ for an audience with the Scorpium, and also since they need to turn over the evacuees either way. JJ agrees to this and provides the party the coordinates to reach the Scorpium colony.
The Aldous is now en route to the Scorpium colony. We're bringing the refugees home.
My thanks.
Don't worry. Everything will be fine.
Prior to reaching the Scorpium colony, Raymond, Leticia, Mariel, and Duma converse with JJ to have a better understanding of Scorpium integration. I want to give a shout out to this cutscene, as it says a lot with how much depth Tri-Ace wanted the story to have.
So you plug humans into this network?
The Duma that came to my world also phrased many things in a way that invited misunderstanding. It is a concept that is easily grasped after integration, but difficult to comprehend prior to that. I believe that the evolution I gained through integration with Scorpion can be found here. and also here. Many different organic life forms join with Scorpion, but at least for we humanoids, history has proven that evolution of the mind and heart is possible. Has it not? I know these ideas are not easy to comprehend. I alone am not capable of conveying them properly, and I also understand the feelings of those who find Scorpion difficult to accept. However, I would not have lived a full life had I not gained this body. Thus, I have not even one iota of regret. All I ask is that you at least understand this.
Very well.
The party successfully reaches the Scorpion colony Parapium. I must say that this is where I begin to partially not approve of the map design, as the grass tiles of the colony feels a bit bland or lacking in the level of detail such as the likes of Ascendros. As the party attempts to learn more about the Scorpium, the Astoria and Centralists attack Parapium and are aiming for the destruction of the integration plant. The party regroups and proceed to put a halt to their plans. Upon reaching the integration plant, the party discovers that it has already been overrun by the Centralists and must fight their way to reach the top. Although I also find the design to fall a bit flat compared to the previous dungeons, this one proves to have challenging enemies and puzzles that can easily confuse the player, which is a nice change of pace. Reaching deeper in the integration plant, the party finds integration pods with individuals in the middle of integration. Duma and JJ discuss the concept of cybermind integration. Cybermind integration is another integration after the standard Scorpion integration.
The subjectivity of an individual post-cybermind integration exists within Scorpion Network. It connects and merges with the entire network while maintaining its subjectivity and sense of self. The only situation where an individual requires a physical body is when it wishes to interact with the material world. By its very nature, cybermind integration incites new evolution within the network. Conducting cybermind integration generally requires that the individual have already undergone standard integration. As such, the progression to a complete and full state of digitalization is not an overly taxing procedure for the individual.
With the new knowledge, the party continues to the heart of the integration plant, where they find a member of the Pan-Galactic Federation.
There you are, Marielle. I knew you'd come.
Hostile fused Scorpium unit has been detected.
What?
That man has completed integration. Stay on guard.
No. What? But when? When did you integrate with Scorpium?
A life-changing 15 years back.
That long ago?
Yes, though time has flown by. What happened here on Parapium today will forever change the fate of the Scorpium and the Pan-Galactic Federation. Today, our sovereign has obtained a tremendous power. One that will alter the course of history for all of Scorpium. I am beyond proud to have been party to its acquisition. We will wield the military might of our sovereign and the Scorpion to expand our reach beyond. Such is the path to glory for the Federation, for all life in the galaxy.
I am well aware that many players found this boss fight to be very difficult. Admittedly, I was one of them, as I got defeated multiple times. But eventually I found a tactic on how to defeat him. The battle with Bennett is notorious for being brutal and unfair, and arguably that is indeed the case. After multiple defeats in trying to figure out what makes it so, I managed to pinpoint the cause. It is due to his attacks exploiting the AI of your allies, because they lack the capacity to dodge many of Bennett's attacks. In order to mitigate it, I had to do a strategy just as exploitative, which is to have Nina keep spamming heals to the entire party, as her healing rate is faster than any damage Bennett can throw at the party, at least for the Galaxy difficulty. In time, my allies brought him down. Bennett's defeat reveals the identity of the Sovereign. It is the Federation fleet officer Remington Kurtzman, who is also on the way to invade Vergold. The party then prepares to leave Parapium to make haste for Vergold. Prior to leaving Parapium, For Raymond's playthrough, you'll have the option to recruit JJ. Similarly to Theo, it is a series of optional quests that involves farming for some items that can be found in the integration plant. This again highlights my point that optional characters tend to have less story development, as this is where JJ's story arc ends. As the party is about to depart for Vergold, they are contacted by the Velgulf, confirming they survived the encounter with the Astoria. Mariel updates Captain Curtis of the events, and subsequently, Captain Curtis will call for Pan-Galactic Federation allies to reinforce Vergold. It is also here that Duma realizes that the Scorpium ideology is flawed, and that Duma will do all that it can to put a stop to the Centralists. What comes after for the Scorpium remains uncertain. With the help of Admiral Luca Maverick of the Pan-Galactic Federation, the party successfully lands in Paladernia, a city in Vergold, and meets up with Raymond's father, Raoul. Raoul concludes that the Federation is after Vergold's Symbo drives beneath the Museum of Vergnesian Symbology, which is the party's next destination. As for the design of Paladernia, it is once again your standard sci-fi city, which is nothing to write home about, though I appreciate the game paying tribute to Star Ocean The Last Hope through Luca Maverick as the descendant of Edge Maverick, while also still using his ship, the Calnus.
Just make sure you keep this city safe. Got that?
Don't worry about that. We're on it.
Huh, good answer. Don't screw this up. Once we've taken care of this mess, bring your friends around. We'll have one hell of a party.
Yeah.
Beneath the museum lies the cavern of the source of the Symbo drives. It is revealed that these drives power all of Vergold, and is the source that is powering Elena as an android. Given its power, the Centralists believe it may enhance integration, hence why they chose to invade this location. The party proceeds deeper in the caverns to put the invasion to a halt. Fighting the enemies in the cavern can be tricky, but with some caution, I was able to get by just fine. The puzzle for the dungeon includes the breaking down of walls and other stone formation using Duma to proceed further. Also an added twist was the prevention of utilizing Duma until peculiar artifacts in the cavern are destroyed, which are guarded by more monsters. At the end of the Provenience cavern, lying in wait are both Boldor and Remington. They reveal their ulterior motives that at this point are all too predictable. As much as I appreciate Tri-Ace paying tribute to characters in the previous games, they should take note not to use the character's middle initial in dialogue, as this kind of breaks the immersion in my opinion. Given we already know the motives of the Integrated Federation members and Boldor, I would like to point out that mentioning the characters of the previous games need not have their middle initials mentioned, as this breaks the immersion and mood of the cutscene, as it feels like the dialogue is being forced into obsessive compulsiveness.
Don't be ridiculous!
Ronix J. Kenny once interacted with the people of Planet Rook, set foot on the forbidden planet Styx, and led us to victory in our conflict with the planet Fargus. Claude C. Kenny violated your precious pact, planting the seeds of the planet Expel joining the Federation.
After the exchange of words, which will obviously lead to combat, the first fight is once again against Boldor. I do not recall utilizing any new tactics, as this is just a stronger version of him back in the Scorpion battleship. With Boldor seemingly dead, the party then faces off with Remington. I admit that my first few encounters with him felt like he was extremely broken and powerful. It was at the moment when I realized that his attack that leads to an instant kill to anyone exposed can be evaded. Taking him down was no longer difficult. In fact, in my Leticia playthrough, I actually had a harder time fighting Boldor over Remington. With the fall of Remington and Boldor, all parties involved reconvene at the museum to discuss what transpires next. Mariel also faces the Pan-Galactic Federation. Yes, I'm giving her extra prime time.
Lieutenant Mariel, I have looked at the Scorpium data you provided. I was surprised by your confrontation with the Virian soldiers who crash-landed on the planet. Aster 4 is an underdeveloped planet, is it not?
Yes, sir. About that.
You were doing what you thought was right, correct? Upholding what were once core values of the Federation, lost under Remington's lead.
Yes, sir. But I believe that it should not excuse me from Federation law, though. I knowingly violated the UP-3. For that, and for the illegal seizure of the merchant vessel Akizuki, I should be brought to trial.
Well, I can't argue with that.
Wait!
Those of us in positions of power can never let the ends justify the means, regardless of the outcome.
But still...
That said, the Federation's in no shape to court-martial you right now. I'll take full responsibility for your deeds until a more appropriate time presents itself. You stay here with your friends. All things considered, Lieutenant Mariel, I think you made the best calls you could. Your actions don't tarnish your family name. Far from it. Making as much known should serve you well when the time comes to face the jury.
Admiral.
Don't you leave us now, you hear? The Federation is in bad enough shape as it is. We don't need to lose another talent like yourself.
Sir!
And I expect there'll be talk of making Aster 4 a Federation protectorate in the near future. You should expect to have some eyes on you as a member of the planet's royal line.
What is this protectorate of which you speak?
I can explain it all to you later. I'll also discuss whether the Federation even retains the capabilities to do so.
So, what will the rest of you do next?
Well, the Centralists have been busted up, my homeworld's safe and sound again, and Boldor's gone.
Right. Yes. And with the whole of it now behind us...
Seems like our journey's at its end. Time for our princess to make her triumphant return.
As Leticia and the other Aster 4 party members are being taken back home, the party witnesses a mass scorpium structure near the ancient coil in Nilbeth. Lola then contacts the party to proceed to Ascendros to discuss what has transpired and their next course of action.
Well, Leticia, looks like it's not time for goodbyes just yet.
It would appear so.
Ray, transmission from the surface.
From that tower?
No, this is... It's from the royal capital.
This is Lola paging the Aldous. Do you copy?
Lola!
Welcome home, Princess Leticia. The situation here is critical.
Details now!
Settle down and listen well. We are without many casualties. Osarius, Vale, and Nilbeth are working jointly on this. We're currently assessing the situation. I'd ask that you land at the Osarian Royal Palace. I can brief you on the latest intel once you've arrived.
Very well. We shall be with you shortly. Ray?
Copy. Alright, let's do this.
Upon reaching Ascendros, the party is updated on the status of the inhabitants of Aster 4. They have been attacked by the Scorpium for the past few days, and the people of Nilbeth have fled to the other cities for refuge. Boldor then reaches out to the party, revealing that he has achieved cyber mind integration, as killing him in physical form no longer has a hold on him, as he can easily take form into a new body. Boldor also reveals that he has begun enacting his plan to force Scorpium integration upon Aster 4. Duma then concludes that the only possibility for now is to head for the Scorpium Spire in Nilbeth, and find a way to curb Boldor's influence on the Scorpium network.
Hark! We offer you naught but enlightenment. The Scorpium are what our people were always meant to be. Leticia Osarius. I trust you hear me. You will continue to resist me. Of that much I am certain. But know that I wish for nothing more than peace and happiness for you all as well.
You lie!
We await you, Princess. Our numbers ever growing.
At the entrance of the Scorpium Spire, the party confronts Gaston. Gaston asks if the party is willing to undergo Scorpium integration, which the party obviously refuses. Not much more I can say at this point, as this conversation has been overly done already. And with that, the party faces him off one last time. Nothing out of the ordinary in this battle. If any, he probably had an attack or two that caused some of my party to be incapacitated, but by no means did I have a hard time in taking him down. As Gaston clings on to his final moments, he reveals that he wanted Lola to go through Scorpium integration, which is contrary to his actions earlier by leaving her behind at the Imperial capital.
Lola, your face is gone to me.
Gaston. Speak now what is in your heart.
You were always a good companion to me. That's why I wanted you to join the Scorpium.
Surely there was another way. Poor fool.
Yes. Perhaps there was. But it was one that I forgot along the way.
I will go and speak with the Colonel in your stead. For now, sleep well, Gaston.
That will only leave me in more trouble. I'll speak to him myself.
After the defeat of Gaston, I start to explore and go deeper in the Scorpium Spire. Overall, I found the map size to be underwhelming and the puzzle simplistic. Certainly not up to standard when it comes to final story map design. The enemies in the map are ones that I have already fought in prior dungeons. It is clear that a lack of development resources is strongly shown in this area. At the end of the spire lies the throne of Boldor. He once again makes us much needed exposition for the nth time. Soon afterwards, Valange makes his appearance. He reveals that he wishes to see Vir free from Scorpium integration, despite he himself willingly doing so. Another battle ensues.
Many have perished, and yet here I stand. I, who wish to see the planet Vir free from the clutches of Scorpium.
Valange!
The path I take is mine, and mine alone. This is my choice to make. Tell her that for me. Tell Lola. Now draw your weapons, and spare me your words!
With the defeat of Valange, the party engages in a conversation with Boldor, only to once again battle him. This battle is honestly utilized far too many times for it to hold any bearing to the player at this point. Soon after Boldor's defeat, he leaves behind his physical body. Duma concludes that to reach Boldor, the party must perform a quasi-cybermind integration to face him at the source of the Scorpium network. To perform this is to separate the mind from the body, as the party contests that they do not wish to leave their body vulnerable. Lola arrives and checks on Valange to reveal that he has survived. Lola is grateful to Leticia and informs the party that she will safeguard their bodies while they are within the Scorpium network.
Colonel, he's still... Your Highness, thank you for helping Gaston and the Colonel.
I was helpless to save them.
No, you have. Gaston may be lost to us, but the Colonel... he still lives.
Huh, really?
All this is our own doing. It was we who brought the Scorpium here, and we who left the Emperor a twisted man. Allow me to atone for our misdeeds, here and now. You will be pursuing the Emperor. I will stand watch here as you enter the network.
We are in your hands. Little Duma?
Gather together. Commencing digitalization for Scorpium network traversal.
Now that the story arc of the Virians have come to a conclusion, I would like to say that they received the short end of the stick, as I would have wanted to learn more about their species. I also find their logic to be very contradicting, as they concluded to fight Scorpium integration, they must also use the same integration, which doesn't make sense to me. I believe the Tri-Ace wanted to dig deeper, it's just that they lacked the resources to do so. As the party enters the Scorpium network, an interference transpires that causes everyone to split from one another. Depending whether you chose Raymond or Leticia, you will begin playing just as one of them and recruit back your allies one at a time. This serves to just prolong the game length rather than completing another dungeon, as the level design is very stereotypical of an advanced network, and very uninspired as it is just a series of straight paths with rooms with blockades and holes in the floor. I also found it frustrating that the game requires you to once again battle bosses that you already fought previously, particularly the boss that Lola summoned at Mount Codorinth, Remington, Gaston, and Valanche. Most especially the latter two, where you literally just fought them prior to reaching the Scorpium network. This tedious puzzle would have already sufficed in my opinion. Or if they wanted a series of mini boss fights, at least make them brand new bosses instead. Another missed opportunity is as you progress in the network, you will eventually see static cutscenes of Baldor's past, and how he slowly succumbed to the power of the centralist Scorpium. Again, this would have been far more effective had the flashback art style cutscenes been used instead. After reuniting with everyone, defeating all the recycled bosses, and unlocking Baldor's memories, the party confronts him for one last final showdown. I personally was glad that this plotline is finally wrapping up as well.
At last, a sentiment I find agreement with.
As mortals, we stand more powerful than the god you claim to be.
Princess Leticia, it is precisely that fiery spirit of yours which Scorpium so desperately needs. Join me, my new daughter.
Detecting incoming attack.
Time has come for you to learn your place. Behold, the infinite power of a god!
I'll be honest, this final fight could have been far more creative. It couldn't have been any less generic. What's more, I was surprised that they broke a fundamental JRPG rule, which is final fights should last more than once. Since this fight is only composed of one entity, my usual tactics with Mariel was sufficient enough to slowly but surely take him down once and for all. Take a look at my legitimate first reaction upon his defeat. Okay. Okay, that's one. To my surprise, it was really just one fight, as I was really expecting at least one more form, as it was not difficult for me to take him down. But it is what it is. With the defeat of Baldur, he still refuses to relinquish his power, and as a result, the network will be eradicated. Duma, in an effort to protect the party, sacrifices itself to save them from being perished. Duma entrusts Elena to guide the Scorpium to the future, based on everything they have learned in their journey together.
You possess the potential to both understand the Scorpium and guide them to an enlightened future. Through you, may the seeds of all evolutionary paths for life be sown. I place my faith in you.
Understood. Rest assured.
Ray, at your side, I found faith in the future coexistence between Scorpium and organic life. I thank you.
Duma! No!
My investigation is at its end.
Each of the party then makes their concluding statements to one another. And for real this time, Raymond's team departs Aster 4. But that is not to say they will not see each other again, as too much has happened for it to be so. And with that, the credits roll.
We both got jobs to do, right?
More than I care for, indeed.
If only some god would show up and free us all from the burdens of work life so we could just kick back and have fun.
Says the man bound to place his burdens on the shoulders of poor Chloe and Elena.
Hey, I've become crazy capable after all this. I'm sure they feel like they can just relax and enjoy the ride.
You are free to believe whatever you want. Ray?
Okay, let's leave it at that.
Ray, this is the Aldous. We're now in geostationary orbit.
Copy that. Yep, best get going before this turns into another pick-on Ray fest.
It does seem about time.
This is Raymond for the Aldous. Commence transfer.
Despite coming off as somewhat negative towards the end of the game, I thoroughly enjoyed my playthroughs. As a huge fan of the franchise, I only hope for the best for the incoming titles, hence why I'm being very meticulous and critical. The Boldor plotline definitely overstayed its welcome. My hot take is that Elena's supposed to be a major antagonist. It is just that again, Tri-Ace lacked the resources to be able to make it so. With that said, kindly take a look at my endings for both playthroughs. I promise that I did not do my advanced research, and I just simply got as many private actions as I could. It was just a coincidence that I got these endings. So without further ado, here are my endings.
All finished.
Hey there, how'd your doctor checkup go?
They replaced all the jury-rigged patches with official parts. I appear to be in excellent shape once again.
Well, that's good news. They didn't give you any grief for that rush job we had to do on you back on Aster, did they?
The Arnold robotics staff were impressed. Claimed it was beyond any usual emergency hotfix. Midas seems to have near OPA-level mechanical prowess.
Yeah, huh. Alright, how about that?
I would like to clear something up, Ray.
Okay. That's new. Don't think you've ever talked to me like this before. So, what's going on here?
I am suddenly reminded. On Aster 4, I found myself broken and under assault from Colonel Valange. You and Midas worked hard through the night to patch me up, yes?
Yeah?
But once I was back in working order and awoke you, you seemed off. Not your usual self. Midas was there for me in your stead.
That's good to hear.
You expressed not joy, but gave only a curt acknowledgement.
Did I? Can't say I remember.
It seemed so very unlike you that I found myself fixated on it. I spent hundreds of hours analyzing your words and speech pattern, and just now, your reaction finally gave me my answer.
Uh-huh.
You were, as your kind call it, jealous, yes?
What? No!
I believe I may have upset you by praising Midas. You wanted to rescue me all by yourself. Isn't that right?
No. I mean, well, yeah, but not like that, exactly. You just caught me off guard, okay?
I am aware, which is why I am consoling you now. To show you that I am, and always will be, your partner. No one else's.
Elena, it is not oft I am visited by you alone.
Apologies for showing up unannounced, but I was in a bit of a hurry.
Worry not. My whole kingdom welcomes you with open arms. I must confess it is somewhat strange to imagine you rushed, however.
I will admit, I find my own actions somewhat illogical.
Well then, if I may be of help, what is it that I might do for you?
Well, actually... you might say I already have what I came for. However, now I wonder, perhaps you could provide me with some insight.
Well, what on Aster is going on? Is it the Federation? Surely not the Centralist remnants.
Do you know where I might find Ray?
Huh?
He goes off alone quite often these days. His actions suggest he is visiting with some woman, so I thought perhaps...
Right,
No, it is perfectly acceptable if he was seeing a woman, but I think that he should not do so in secrecy, behind my back, without informing me. It is upsetting.
Well, now then, Elena.
Yes?
It would seem to me you experience what we term jealousy.
No. No, Leticia. This is not like that.
You are quite endearing as so.
Leticia, please!
Now, he did ask that, should you come calling. I never tell you this, you know.
He what?
He occasionally heads off for a dolly all by his lonesome. He goes simply to gaze out over the mountains.
Well...
I've heard from Theo and Maester Midas that men are of occasion wont to be alone, and seek solace in silence and seclusion.
Difficult to comprehend.
Yes, truly.
Although I find the final portions of the main story needing refinement, I must say that I was generally happy with the post-game content. It was also here that I realized that I needed to use item creation to be able to defeat the strongest post-game boss. The first post-game dungeon is called the Gauntlet. To get to this dungeon, you must first obtain 5 Spirit Ethers for Melthea at the 2nd floor of the Semiomancy Consortium. These are relatively easy to obtain, as the monsters that drop them roam in various areas. The difficult part is being able to defeat the monsters in the Gauntlet. Admittedly, my entire party was not ready to take on even just the monsters, let alone the bosses. My first step was to get to a high enough level to stand a chance against the monsters. The method I eventually developed to get to level 80 to 90 was repeatedly going through half of the Scorpion battleship map, as it is easy to get past and eliminate the enemies there, while giving you a decent chunk of experience. Eventually, I managed to hold my own against the monsters, and because of that, I tried out fighting the mini-bosses. I was surprised that there's still voice work, at least for your party members, whenever a cutscene commences. Given that this is content for hardcore players, I have to give credit to Tri-Ace for the effort.
These monsters can talk too! And I'm not even sure that's the weirdest part!
Could any amount of protein intake even affect those bodies?
Oh, wait, us?
After successfully taking down all the mini-bosses in the Gauntlet, I set out for the final trial of the dungeon, which is a very familiar foe for fans of Tri-Ace games.
I must admit, I am quite impressed to see mere mortals make their way this far.
Who the heck are you?
I am Gabriel Celeste, the angel who roams through and between dimensions. For ages I have slumbered, bored of this dull world. Yet you dare wake me. Know your lives alone will not suffice in atonement for such sin.
The first time I tried to take on Gabriel Celeste, I learned the hard way that I was not ready, and that it was high time I started using the item creation. It took me a while to do my research to get to the point in item creation to be strong enough to take down Gabriel Celeste. In my playthrough, I had to first unlock all the possible functions of item creation, as I did not give it priority in my story playthrough. I did not finish all of Welch's quest at the time. After a couple of hours of watching guides, I finally managed to nail down the first step, which is to prioritize crafting accessories that yield additional EXP, and being able to synthesize as many of them as I can into one accessory. This will prove to be very useful, as I managed to max out my entire party to the max level of 255 in just a few hours. This resulted in filling up their entire skill trees, my favorite passive skills, and other abilities. With my party maxed out to level 255, defeating Gabriel Celeste proved little difficulty, though he can still catch you off guard if you're not careful, as his elemental attacks are still lethal, given I have not created equipment that resists these attacks. Suffice to say though, maxing your level is sufficient to bring him down in his 2, 4, and 6 wing form in the Galaxy difficulty.
Most impressive. Perhaps I was too quick to write off this world and all who live in it. That you all yet stand is full proof of its merit, and my hubris. May our paths cross again, brave heroes.
Upon defeating Gabriel Celeste in his final 6-wing form, the second and final post-game dungeon, the Ultima Thule, feel free to correct my pronunciation if it is incorrect, is now unlocked and can be found at the deepest part of the Provenience Cavern, where we first fought Remington. The Ultima Thule consists of 25 floors composed of various battles. No more puzzles to navigate, as it is purely a combat-based endeavor. It is worth noting though that should you decide to stop ascending in between, you will need to start at the very bottom once again, though any EXP, items, and fall that you manage to obtain, you still get to keep. For the first time you ascend the Ultima Thule, you will start off with the character you chose at the beginning of the game, as once again, just like in the Scorpium network, your entire party will be split, and you will be getting them back one by one. This time around, however, you will have to fight each one of them before you can do so. The cutscene skits for each of them though can be quite funny, as they impersonate past Star Ocean characters.
Wait, isn't this Marielle's?
Hey, that's mine! Give it back! That's my friend! Now give it back!
Friend? This is just an ordinary device.
Give it back, right? Meow!
Meow? I wasn't gonna take it, but you really ought to hear yourself.
You make my first stand on end. You're not gonna hand it over. I'll just have to swipe it off ya.
Right. Cool. Looks like you're finally free from the curse.
What curse? All I can remember is this silly dream I had. I think I was a cat or something?
Well, hey, as long as you had fun. Anyway, I'm just glad to have you back to normal now.
However, there was no time to celebrate, with the highest reaches of the tower still looming ominously above.
If you're headed up, I can help out.
Was just about to ask if you'd be so kind. Come on then, let's go.
Of course.
After reuniting with the entire party and defeating more monsters and bosses, I finally reached the top to face the strongest post-game boss in Tri-Ace tradition.
Steps out atop the tower. But, dun dun dun, what awaits is a being as wicked as she is divine.
I commend you for surviving this long, pitiful life forms as you are.
Who the hell are you?
You stand before the ethereal queen. I am the angel of death and harbinger of demise.
So, I take it this whole tower business was some mystical game of yours then?
Yes. All to test your battle prowess and determine if you are worthy of my time or not. You've now passed stage 1. Next, you will receive the honor of facing me personally.
For the 2-wing form of Ethereal Queen, it is indeed still possible to defeat her by simply maxing out the level of your entire party. The caveat, however, is that it is already a struggle and it nearly depleted all my revival items to take her down. For the succeeding battles, you will need to climb the Ultimate Thule once again, but no longer needing to recruit your party, but rather just a series of fights until you reach the 25th floor. And to succeed, I had to ensure to perform item creation again, to easily acquire resources. I started out creating equipment that exponentially boosts the fall I acquire. From there, I had the resources to be able to create the strongest weapons of many characters, along with acquiring accessories that are strong against Ethereal Queen, such as additional damage to divinities. By the time I fought her 6-wing form, I was able to take her down.
I recognize your strength.
She's down. Please tell me there's not gonna be more.
The dead are free of the tower's curse and saunter off to other lands en masse. But with the power you all possess, I'm certain you have nothing to fear. So long then, mighty heroes.
And that concludes my playthrough. So to answer the question, Star Ocean: The Divine Force, is it good? As a longtime fan of the saga, the answer is a resounding yes. As Star Ocean means a lot to me, I never expected it to be spectacular or groundbreaking in nature, as that was never the case. But it did provide a solid experience that achieved what it set out to do. The story holds the nuance that I was looking for, even though some of them could use more prime time, such as Malkia and the Trathin, JJ, Theo, and the Variants. The use of flashback artwork could have been utilized much more to make the narrative more immersive. But despite that though, I believe the game succeeds in telling its story. The visuals are not top-notch, but the art style is fantastic and unique. Despite the less than stellar late-game dungeons, the game as a whole still looks gorgeous. The audio is excellent. Motoi Sakuraba once again demonstrates he is a master of setting the soundtrack, and the voice actors portray their characters well. Exploration is fast-paced despite the large game world. There are numerous quests, but they are never mandatory, and are there should you want to complete them. Combat is adrenaline-raising, and has never been more customizable than ever before. Some battles require you to change strategy rather than relying on brute force. Item creation can get tedious, but can get very fulfilling once you get the desired results. Overall, despite Tri-Ace's development constraints, they still managed to create a solid entry in the saga, and even managed to break the boundaries in some aspects. I can only hope they manage to create more titles in the future. If you are still here, thank you so much, and you are more awesome than you know. Stick around to see what game I'll be covering next, and I will see you guys next time.
Boy, oh boy. The price of freedom is steep. Embrace your dreams. And whatever happens, protect your honor.
As soldier! Come and get it!